So guys, a quick introduction before the video starts. This was actually filmed about 3 or so weeks ago, so some of the news in here is quite old, but I'd still like you to watch it. What this is the pilot for Anything But GW, which is our planned once a month magazine type show. So there's going to be another one in a couple of weeks. The idea behind this, as you're going to hear, is that it's kind of a summary of all the great things going on inside of the wargaming world that doesn't relate to GW. So that's cool. But even though the information in here is dated and all the rest of it, I really would appreciate you taking some time and watching some of it and just giving your feedback on what you think of it, any suggestions or comments or ideas. So if you do that, that would be amazing. Comments below what you think about this idea, whether you're here for it, whether you want more of it, less of it, or whatever. So thanks very much and enjoy. Welcome to Anything But GW from the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra, and this is a pilot for a show that we've been kicking around for a while. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is, as the name suggests, talk about anything but GW, because in the wargaming sphere, sometimes it can feel like there is GW and nothing else. When you look through YouTube or pretty much any social media, most of the conversation is dominated by GW and their products. So this is a bit of a platform for everything else. Our idea is to create a bit of a hub for all the new games, existing games, new releases, news, maybe even a bit of drama if you feel like it once in a while. All that kind of thing that is outside of that main GW sphere. Bring it to you so you can come to one place and find it all conveniently. Now, I know it's called Anything But GW, but we don't hate GW. In fact, the opposite. I started in GW more years ago than I'm comfortable mentioning, and have played GW for a lot of my life. Various games, 40k, Epic, or Space Marine as was Space Crusade, all this kind of stuff. So the love for GW is there. But there's a lot of other people doing that, so we're doing all the other stuff. So today, we're going to run through some news, we're going to run through some new releases that are coming up, and we're going to run through the ideas that, if you guys like the idea of this format, we've got coming up. So that's kind of crucial. At the end, when you've seen this, comments below, let us know what you think, suggestions, ideas, thoughts and feelings. But that's enough preamble. Let me introduce the handsome, glorious gentleman that will be joining me on my adventure this evening. To my side, over here as I sit, is JJ. Say hello, JJ.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, JJ. I mean, hello. Yeah, hi, I'm JJ. I've known Hydra for a very long time. And like himself, I've also done a lot of GW throughout the years, but at the same time, there is nothing but GW on YouTube, it seems. A lot of the time. There are people out there like that we adore and love, but there's just everything else. There's kind of a large vacuum, and it's very hard to get into anything that's not GW because it's there, which creates this kind of cycle. So we thought, well, we might just maybe have a little voice about other things, other options. And disclaimer, I don't think between the two of us we play all of these, although we probably know someone who does or have at least explored them. Although between us, we've played a fair amount of them, I think it's fair to say. Would that be right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the thing is, part of what we're aiming to do here, if we only stick to the things that we have enough hours in the day to play, there's going to be a very finite amount of things we're talking about. I want to talk about everything. So there's going to be stuff tonight that we're going to talk about that I don't play and that you don't play, or I haven't played for a long time, or you haven't played for a long time.
Yeah.
And the idea is just to bring news out to the world, to start conversations, to make people aware of things that happened, things that are going to happen, things that are coming out. So, as you say, JJ, it's very much raising that conversation, kicking that off, giving people the other options that are out there, because there's so much. I think we're in a really rich time for wargaming. There's, certainly with the rise of the internet, the rise of 3D printing, and the rise of the awareness that people can just do it, more people are. And
well, you say that, it literally just came to me. We haven't got on our to-do list, but I remember hearing about it in a few places. Like during the lockdown, a guy came up with a set of rules called Turnip 28, which is basically this. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, but Napoleonics in an apocalyptic turnip world is probably how I describe it. But again, and it had its own convention like a couple of months ago or something. So like these things, like with the internet, you can put rules out there, and obviously 3D printing miniatures out there. But you know, it's a great time to love models.
Very much so. I was looking at, is it Quam? I think it's called, the other day, which is, I think, Anteaters at War. I saw the miniatures and I was like, okay, this is bonkers, but I'm kind of here for it. But I don't have.
I'm liking
the look of that.
Yeah, what is it? Warplock with the frog people. I'm like, this is genius.
This is the kind of thing, because I've not heard of that. That system I've not heard of. And there's so many different things that are out there these days, and so many things that are coming up that, like, I mean, we're not at this point.
There's not enough hours in the day.
No, that's one of the problems. It's like there's so many Kickstarters around as well these days. Yeah, I know Kickstarter, is it still a thing? Is it done? Is it not? But there's so many companies out there that are bringing new products to market, and there have been so many times when I've been like, sorry, that happened when? What? Where was it? Oh, right, good. You know, the big publishers, the big production companies are pretty good at putting the shout out there. And if they have a good pipeline and you're within that pipeline, you hear about these things. But so many other companies, you just never, unless you've got somebody in that sphere, you're kind of relying still on the word of mouth.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what this show's here to kind of be, which I feel like is signing the death warrant for my mailbox. That's kind of what it's like. If you've got something we should be talking about, whether it's your product or whether it's something you've seen that's brilliant, let us know, and maybe we'll showcase it on the site. Sorry, on the show, which is exactly what I want to do. And then also, I kind of feel like it's just going to be nerd vomit straight in there, which I am here for. My wallet will die horribly, and Lilith may never speak to me again. But yeah, that's kind of what we want to do. If there's something we're not talking about and you think we should be, let us know. And it can be if it's yours.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, if you've got a product and you think, and I mean whether it's a gaming system, accessory, miniatures, terrain, paints, anything, if it's coming to market, if it's in the market, if people should be using it and they're not, or should be playing it and they're not, we need to hear about it. You need to be letting us know. And that's not me saying send us product and we'll review it. That's me saying let us know.
Let us know.
This is it. So that's our mission statement. That's who we are. And without further ado, let's get into the first bit, which is going to be the news.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this news is running back actually now nearly on a month. And that was the announcement by Atomic Mass Games that their development of both Star Wars X-Wing and Star Wars Armada was coming to an end. They're stopping production now. They're not developing the game any further. They're going to be supporting both until a tournament start of 2025.
Adepticon 2025 sounds something like that. Was that right?
I think it was Adepticon. I think it was. It almost certainly was.
Was it a big tournament scene?
Adepticon, March 2025. I have notes. Amazing.
It was a big tournament scene. I remember multiple places and multiple FLGSs, and even when I came back to Ireland, local clubs had X-Wing. Pre-pandemic, anyway.
Well, there was a point where you couldn't throw a sort of pre-painted TIE fighter without hitting a community of X-Wing players, a weekly tournament scene. There were so many places in the world. I mean, let's be honest. There was a point where X-Wing was challenging the G-Dub for dominance. They were. It was everywhere.
It was pre-painted, so you didn't have to paint it. It was a tight rule set. It was Star Wars. It was cheaper than GW, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And it had a good tournament system.
And it was the thing that I found. So I played X-Wing when it first came out. So cool, such a hipster. But when it first dropped, I picked up the first edition box, and then I picked up the first few waves. So I had Y-wings and I had A-wings and various TIE fighters. Anyway, and then it was a good system. It was a fun little system. There was enough depth there to always have fun, for variety. It was nice to have a game where it was kind of get on the table, frag your opponent, win.
Yeah, it was. because you had the dials. I remember I played a couple of times, and I actually played the Star. There's a Star Trek spin-off that didn't go anywhere.
Attack Wing.
Yeah, which was interesting. You had the dials, so you had to plan your maneuvers beforehand, and it was I go, you go. It wasn't just like, they had that interaction back and forth, I suppose.
Yeah,
so you were always engaged. Yeah, you're always engaged. And obviously you have the iconic things like, Darth Vader and like
Slave
upgrade to
One
it.
and Millennium Falcon.
Millennium Falcon, all them. Yeah.
There was so much. It was really, for me, bizarre to start off with, because we had a company that had a good system with a fantastic IP, and they didn't screw it up.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a worry. For a while there, everything was just great.
I think for me though, that I never got into it because it just didn't appeal. It just wasn't. I had enough stuff going on. I was playing enough other games. But I think for me, there was a large, it was a civilian transport ship. It was about yay big, nearly a foot long.
Rebel transport ship, but yeah.
And it was massive. It was really expensive. But it came with a card that was like a super upgrade. Like it was I thought it was R2D2 or something that everyone who's in a tournament wanted. But so they're buying this box just to get the card. I'm thinking that's when it jumped the shark for me. I was like, I see how this is going.
Yes, there was a little bit of that. The putting the really cool upgrade cards in a specific box, so you had to buy that box. And if I remember correctly, if you went to a tournament, then you had, if you wanted to use that upgrade on multiple ships, you had to have the card repeatedly. Which is, I mean, if you're, I think it was Fantasy Flight at that point were producing it before they handed it over to Atomic Mass Games. If you're Fantasy Flight Games, it's good business. It is good business. There's no two ways about it. And you go out there and you listen to some of the older players, and they've got 20 or 30 of X-Wings.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Dear Lord.
Yeah.
The level of enthusiasm necessary. But it was a good system.
Yeah, it was it was a good system. I don't understand what happened to it. Why did it? Was it the pandemic? Was it?
No. From what I understand, no. I was on the periphery of this. We have lots of mutual friends that played this.
Yeah.
And I knew a few people that were very heavy into it. I know some people now. I didn't know them at the time, but I know them now, who are very heavy into it. And if you talk to them about X-Wing, it gets salty very quickly.
Right. Yes, the salt mines, the bane of every gamer's life.
It's interesting because I think the problem was that with version 1 they didn't screw it up.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
It seemed tight.
And it was, there were some issues sometimes with ship availability or cards, as we say, but people kind of got over that and it was fine. And they moved forward. And so you had all these people with these huge fleets, and they get together and they go to these tournaments week in, week out, and across the world, and it was just this huge community. And then Fantasy Flight dropped version 2, which, as I understand it, now this is like 17th hand, but it was more objective based than shooty pew pew. Yeah. And basically, whatever the reason, the second edition rule set dropped, and the community just noped. A whole group of people left instantaneously. A whole group of people stayed with version 1.
Yeah.
A whole group of people tried to make version 2 work, and a whole group of people played version 2 straight.
Did it not work? Was that it? Did kind of screw it, or?
It just wasn't. It wasn't what people wanted. A lot of the sentiment I hear from friends is it wasn't X-Wing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it was. It wasn't X-Wing. So it was around that time that got handed off to Atomic Mass Games, who, depending on who you speak to,
patched it up.
Well, they left it to atrophy and die, right. Basically. The problem was, so when version 2 came out, you had to buy a whole new set of cards. And it was one of the reasons that a lot of people noped out, because these upgrade cards, if you had a huge fleet, I've seen videos with respected YouTubers talking about it, and they're saying that, the upgrade for that individual to upgrade their whole fleet, because we're wargamers, we are completionists. Yeah. They wanted one card for each.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
They did. Yeah. Was getting on for 1,000.
What?
And you're just like, yeah, no, I wouldn't have either. You're quite right. Stuff that for a game of toy soldiers. No, thank you.
There is always a part of me that wonders about version updates, and not to go back to the elephant in the room, but this 3-year cycle, you have to question of okay, they're going to sell new supplement books and there's a new rule set, and there's obviously a certain person who will buy that and they're going to but it's a lot of effort for a small jump in money in profit. And for a smaller company to go, right, we're going to reboot this, what does it get them? Because the people who are already playing it, all they're going to need is some upgrade cards, but obviously they've priced themselves out. And I don't know.
The problem
it's a weird one.
was,
It's a weird one.
when it landed in with AMG, the consensus seems to be that this great system that was, because of a new rule system past its heyday, landed in their lap, demanding a lot of attention and support, because there's a huge community that we want events, we want event support. But there's nothing new to sell them. They have 20 X-Wings, they have a Millennium Falcon, they have all of the things they need.
Yeah, and if a new thing comes out on, the Mandalorian or Acolyte or whatever,
yeah,
it's one ship, maybe two, and okay, you sell them, but then you're not. It's not like you're getting another squad of Space Marines.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was one of those things where it was an intensive system that the community was pushing back on very hard, and they weren't going to make any money. That mercenary, I think that's kind of what it was. So then asking for any type of support, any type of love, nah. I think it was just incredibly short-sighted. But having said that, from a corporate perspective, well, I kind of get where they're at.
Yeah, it's curious. I mean, I hope someone does a business analysis of it and figures out why, and it's published in some obscure journal somewhere.
Let's hope so. But
business management for Monopoly in real life journal or something. I don't know. It's a curious one because it was so successful. It was like, as I say, at one point it could have started to threaten GW in terms of, at least in terms of events.
No, because I think it did legitimately in terms of sales as well. There's a lot, especially in the US, a lot of places that are reporting higher sales of X-Wing than were of GW. Yeah. But I think it just burnt itself out. I think that this is a finite universe. There is a certain amount of lore, there are a certain amount of films, there are a certain amount of TV shows.
It's a finite mind. Like at the end of the day, people have their ships, they're already painted, they have their rules. It's like a living, those living card games that once they get to a certain point and they stop, and it's there's like so many expansions, and then once you have all the expansions, that's it. It is. I think Netrunner used to be a thing. Like some people have all the cards for that, and you can still play it, and it's perfectly legitimate, and they don't need to buy anything else. So it's kind of like a board game in the sense that it's complete.
Well, you say that.
But
out of the back of Atomic Mass Games deciding to take X-Wing to the car park and shoot it, a whole bunch. At the moment, I think there's 2 or 3 different groups within the community that have stepped up and said, right, post Adepticon 2025,
this is what
we're going to do something. We're going to start having organised play. We're going to start adjusting rules. X-Wing Alliance is one of them. I've seen quite a lot of information from them. They seem to be taking a sensible approach to it, which is we're going to leave the rules as they are, take feedback from the community, iterate and develop. And that, I think that's the sensible way forward. I think it would be the rash thing to charge into the middle of it and go, right, we're ripping up the rulebook and we're starting again. No, don't do that.
No.
Everybody goes back to version 1. Don't do that. Version 1 was not perfect. Version 2 did improve things.
The thing is, if you stay at version 1, people who've changed won't be happy. If you stay at version 2, version 1 won't be happy. Like, at least if you change, everyone has to change, and then everyone's equally upset. If that makes sense. And sometimes that's the best way.
Always upset. There's always something, or at least 10 things that we're upset about. Don't get me started. Anyway, so X-Wing is dead, but it may be on a community heartbeat, and I think it's worth, if you are an X-Wing player, if you have X-Wing miniatures, it's probably worth taking the time to have a look out there, look at things like X-Wing Alliance, see what they've got coming on, and see when that's something that you want to get behind and support, because the longevity of the system is now in the hands of the community.
In which case, get your local gaming shop, get your table, set up with your friends, and teach them to play the game. The problem is they might not be able to buy the models. Well, they will until they run out, but
details.
Second-hand market, But yeah, if it's to be a living game, people need to play it, I suppose.
They do. And at the end of the day, if there's money to be made, and I don't know if there will be, but if there's money to be made, I'm sure that AMG isn't dumb enough that they wouldn't look at a thriving community and be like, no, we're going to let them 3D print everything forever. That's not going
Well,
to happen.
like in some respects, if the community does the rules and they just go, "Oh, we just now sell these models with no cards for no reason whatsoever," wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I mean, then they've less of a headache. They don't need to pay people to write rules. Like in some ways, it's win-win. Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, we shall see what happens.
I'm not advocating this because obviously people making the rules, they're doing labour and so on. But at the same time, if the people in charge of it can't be bothered to do it, someone kind of has to. If you want to
You're
live.
persecuting the working classes over there, young man.
Yes, absolutely.
I see you.
Absolutely.
Profiting off the sweat of their brows and then throwing into the trash.
In
I see you.
In my Communist Manifesto.
No politics. But interestingly, we've actually replicated in many ways the press release that we've just focused on X-Wing and gone, yeah, Armada's dead too. Armada, the most fantastic game that everybody looked at and went, yeah, that's really cool. Should we play something else?
Should we play X-Wing? Because I've got that, and it's basically the same, and it's got smaller things, and I can be Luke Skywalker.
And it's less fiddly, and it's a bit cheaper, because Armada was not cheap.
No, they're big. That size for a Star Destroyer, about 4 inches.
Yeah, it's quite chunky.
Yeah.
It was quite chunky.
Yeah.
Gitsnick, who was also going to be on has been on some Dice Cut stuff. He is taking the opportunity to buy all of the Armada that he never did, and always meant to.
Oh God.
Armada is definitely the coolest game that I never bought.
Okay.
That's where it is. It's a funky idea. I love it, but
yeah. I knew one guy at my local club. This is pre-pandemic, who was mad into it, above X-Wing. Mm-hmm. But again, not most of them. If they were playing, some were playing X-Wing rather than Armada. So I say I've only touched Armada a little, X-Wing a little bit. Just wasn't for me.
Yeah, X-Wing I played a few times, and I picked up the Armada box repeatedly.
Okay.
And put it back repeatedly.
You literally picked it up.
Picked it up, looked at it. Oh, that's cool.
Buy more Infinity.
Let's
be honest. You can buy more Infinity.
I can't remember how much it was, but I remember the intro box for Armada being quite expensive, and looking at it and thinking,
yeah.
I think there was like 3 ships in the box, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, nah, maybe later. And I never got round to it. And now, yeah, like I say, it's the coolest game that I never bought into.
How much was would it have been? Obviously, this is going back to
we're going to go to the phone now because I feel the need to find out. But I recall seeing the price and being like, that's a bit
50, 60.
So the 3 miniature starter box is currently €124.
No, was that legit though, or is that like because now it's out of print?
No, that's legit. That's
what?
Legit. I'm looking at a single ship here. Hang on,
I mean, I know we're not talking GW, but
I've got a Star Wars Armada Nadiri Starhawk for €90.99. One ship.
I had one of them. The wheel fell off it. What now?
Starhawk
Armada.
I mean, a standard Nebulon B is €25 one ship, but yeah, it just every time I looked at Armada, it was just kind of there's not enough people to play it. It looks a bit of a fiddly faff, and it's quite expensive.
Yeah, actually. Looking at here on the actual website with the legit prices and stuff from FFG, holy moly, that's not cheap. Not cheap.
It's one to pass down to your grandkids because hopefully that stuff's going to increase.
Oh yeah, 100%. But as a gaming piece though, like I mean, yeah, okay, puts things in perspective, I suppose. Yeah,
it's just a bit. It's a bit much. It's a bit much.
So
it's interesting. A lot of the feedback. I think there is a core Armada community that are frustrated, although not surprised, by the fact that Armada has also been taken out the back and game over, man, game over. But I've not seen yet, and if you have seen some, put it in the comments below. I've not seen any community drive to keep it alive.
Yeah, as I said, I've met one person who played it in Ireland when I came back, and I've met dozens in the UK when I lived there for a long time. Yeah. And another dozen when I came back. So I mean, for X-Wing. So to me, that's what's that 24-1 ratio. And obviously, it's a biased sample, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know,
Likewise, I've met a couple of people I think in my
anecdotal.
life that have owned it.
Yeah.
And lots
Like,
of people with the play, you know,
like,
do you play it?
Like maybe it is a better game. Maybe it's, you know, this is the part of the issue. It could be a superior game. It could be way better. It could be more lore authentic. It could be all the things. But if it's expensive or expensive to the point where no one plays it, then it doesn't matter, does it?
No, there is. When you get a new system, you're always taking a punt. You put your money behind it, and you're like, yeah, are other people going to join me?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
If they don't, it sucks and the game dies. And if they do, it's all good. But I think there's a price point where we're okay having a gamble, and there's other ones where it's not. And
yes,
I don't think Armada was helped by the presence of X-Wing and X-Wing's success, because if you want to do space battles, you could do this one, and everybody's playing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
I think we should move on.
We should move on, because that's the first element of the news, and we have more to do. So yeah, with
that
any
was a
luck,
big one. That was a big
we
one.
will see Star Wars X-Wing, and we will see Star Wars Armada rise again with community support, and maybe somebody will do the sensible thing and get behind them. And
like there's some games that I don't care about, and I just go, it lives, it dies, whatever. I don't, you know. And obviously, I didn't play X-Wing or Armada, but it would be, I would feel, I'd be like, if it disappeared, I'd be like, that is a loss, because it gets people into the community. You know, it has a lower barrier to entry. There's no painting. The rules and tokens are all in the starter box. The dice, you know, to have all this a dice roll and a defense roll, I believe. Like it lowered the barrier to entry, and it was popular. So I'd hate to see it go. I'd hate to see it go.
There's so many people within that community, and it would be such a shame for that to be lost.
Absolutely.
Just because of a corporate decision, it would be such a waste. So I really, you know, I hope all the best for the Star Wars and X-Wing or Armada, whatever they are, communities. I hope it goes well. And if you are doing one, if you've got something like that planned, get in contact. If we can support by raising awareness for you, that's what we're here for. So please, solidarity, brothers and sisters and other persons. Ewoks in wooden spaceships, perfectly rational. Yeah, but seriously, if you are doing that and you want to get some more shout out, we're happy to do it. We're happy to support you. So just get in contact. There will be an email address in the description of this video that you can get in contact with if you want to contact us. So right, that's from two Star Wars to a third. Also,
anything Star Wars. Anything
but Star Wars. We're going to do Legion now, and then we're going to do Shatterpoint. We're not doing Shatterpoint.
Okay, well, I don't have a lot to speak, because I know a little bit about Shatterpoint and roughly how it flows.
You're not doing Shatterpoint. You're talking about
I know.
Legion.
And about Legion, again, similar, but I've not played it. I've made terrain for it. That's my claim to fame about Legion.
Fair enough.
I've seen the models, and I've had a read of the rulebook, but it's just disclaimer, not one I've played. So this will be mostly you talking.
Yeah, this is it. So conversation, get ready. I'm the target here. So we have just had the Atomic Mass Games announcement period of all their games, where they update everything they've got coming up. We knew something was coming for Star Wars Legion. They kind of nudged and winked towards it and said, it's not a second edition. And then they dropped a second edition. I mean, it's not. It is. No, it's not.
It's an update.
It's an update that materially changes core mechanics inside of the game system,
but totally doesn't invalidate anything before, except it does. Is it one of them?
It's one of those. It's like, you know how armor works with vehicles. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Okay.
You know how big your units can be. They can be bigger now. There's all these rules that have changed within it. As it stands at the moment, this is Sunday night, and it was on Thursday that we got the big announcement. They released all the rules. Link in the description. You can download all the rules now for the not version 2, version 1.99999 recurring. It's version 2. I don't. They're bringing out new cards. So Star Wars Legion, if you're not familiar with it, is a sort of medium-sized war game where you have squads and you have all the main characters for Star Wars, and you duke it out over missions. And it's very fluffy. It's very flavorful. It's fun. My God, it's fun, and you know, it's everything you want it to be. And historically, sorry.
was just a local club to me again. I made terrain for them. They were doing a tournament for it, like, and they didn't have enough suitable terrain. And I'm a scenery nerd. I love making scenery and like anything to cover the kitchen in polystyrene. Um,
Everyone's got
but
a
so I saw
fetish.
some of how it plays and stuff, and I suppose the closest thing I describe it to, if you don't know what it is in terms of scale, would be bolt action. Would that be fair?
Ish.
You got a couple of squads, maybe a couple of small vehicles, and maybe one big one, or some
It's
combination of
it's
that. Would that
it's
be fair?
it's, it's bolt action light,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but
Not,
it's fun.
not
It's
in terms of
just
rules, just in terms of size and scale.
yeah. I mean, it depends what you. They've kind of that's what we're going to get into in a minute. They've kind of gone nah, no.
All right.
Um, so yeah, it's one of those games where you can put together a list based on predominantly the rule of cool.
Okay.
For the main factions that you would expect, so we have the Clone Army, the Grand Army of the Republic. We've got the CIS, so the droids from the episodes 1 through 3. They're all in
Oh,
there.
brilliant.
Then we have
Right,
the
right, right.
Rebels versus the Galactic Empire. So we've got Darth Vader and his crew
Oh yeah.
versus Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and all that
Oh,
sort of stuff.
I think I do remember trying to put a list together for this. I was thinking about it. Is this the one where you have like stormtroopers, and then you've got the flames, the black stormtroopers, and then you've got like the death troopers and
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. That's all
command?
in there. If it's
Yeah.
appeared at some point in some
Yeah,
area
yeah,
of Star Wars, look, there's a box of it, and it's
yeah.
brilliant. We've just
Yes.
done a review, link, of the Clone Commandos, which they went with the
Yes.
design style of the cartoon version of Clone Commandos. I knew them from the computer game, but my inner nerd roared opening that box up and being like, hell yeah, I remember you guys. I know how you're getting painted. And it was fantastic. There's so many bits. Painting Leia, painting Chewie, painting Han. The guys from Rogue One are in there. I had all those at one point. Um, it's awesome. It's great. It's a great system, and it's been going for a while. It's as is the want, I think, of Atomic Mass games. Sometimes availability.
That I was just going to wait until you stopped to say it. My only complaint about it was availability, because I did remember having a bit of a think about joining. As I said, there's a club near me that I've got loaded. I've got like 4 clubs near me, but the two main ones, the two sane ones, one of them plays a lot of this, and I was thinking, could go Palpatine and load those, the red bodyguard
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
guys. Yeah. And just the most bizarre, like and then just do all the
Legit
memes
tactic.
and just do all the meme voices and catchphrases and stuff, for the crack. And I was looking at it going, none of this is available. I can't buy this even from another country. Literally, it's
Yeah,
not out of
it's.
production, but out of stock everywhere. And I was
See
just like,
that?
that's how I remember it. Yeah.
There are certain boxes that I've been waiting to come back in stock 18 months.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you're like, I really want this one. I can't get it.
Yeah.
I really want it.
Yeah.
Still can't get it. So that's not been too great. But so they had this big announcement, and hey, we've got this not new rule set. This new. There's a lot of new changes in it. There's a lot of quality of life changes in it. I think
Okay.
a lot of updates. So at the moment, you're kind of your main core troopers, your main, as with any war game, or most war games, you have to have a leader, and then you have to have some basic troops. Your basic troops historically have kind of been 4 through 7, maybe 8 in a squad, and now they've kind of gone, well, everyone's going to kind of be 10 because you can make it 10. Like, okay, exciting, interesting, right, fine. Points values for certain units have gone down. The average game size has gone up.
Oh, a double whammy.
Oh yeah, so we've gone from 800 points average to now 1,000 points, and certain elements of my armies have got cheaper. And I'm like, this is good. And then my brain goes, yeah, means you've got to buy more.
Look it up by, well, not 20%, but nearly 20%, and then like the points go down another like 15%, and then suddenly, actually, actually, you kind of need to double your collection. Like,
Part of me is kind of here for it, but part of me is also like, table size. It's a 3x6.
3x6.
Yeah, from memory, 3x6 standard. So
Not 4x6, 3x6.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Unusual. But yeah, so, and then they've announced a whole new set of miniatures that are coming out, and we're getting new. So the game runs with cards. Every unit has a card that comes in the box.
Yeah.
The problem is that a lot of those cards, where the rules have moved on, are now massively out of date.
Right.
So we needed new cards, but they haven't just reprinted them with the updated rules. They've change the rules behind them and remove some rules and put in some other rules. And it's just like
You print out the cards, or you buy the cards?
You can print them out. I think.
Okay.
I would imagine there's going to be a place to buy them from. I think there's RPG place where you can get them. I don't know.
Yes. Is it like RPG Vault or one of them, and you can print on demand?
Yes, I believe that's the.
Yeah.
It's somewhere. Link in the description.
Yeah, I know that.
So that's all coming, and it's interesting. I think a lot of the community is kind of, certainly for myself, we've been told there's not going to be a new version, and then there was. So yeah, I think it's an interesting time for Legion. They've also laid out a lot of the stuff they're releasing or re-releasing. There's some updates of old miniatures which definitely needed it. Some of the old Rebel miniatures are a bit.
Okay. These are hard plastic, right? Or are they injection polystyrene?
The original ones were soft plastic, and it showed.
As in, you could bend an arm and it just spring back, but crack off your paint.
Mostly spring back. I mean, it depends how far you went with it.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But so the newer stuff here is hard plastic. I don't know what the new miniatures are going to be. I assume they're going to be hard plastic too. They look a little bit crisper, a little bit more detailed, which is nice. So yeah, so I think it's a good sign for Legion. I think it's a good sign for the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you'll see the community grow. New versions can have the. I guess it depends if we get new starter boxes and stuff like that. I imagine we would. I guess we'll have to see.
Always good for getting people into it.
It's still early days. There's information from my perspective that if it's out there, I haven't had time to look at it yet. So I've got all the PDFs downloaded and then no time to read them. So there's certain changes they were talking about, like in the previous version of Legion, you had Phase 1 clone troopers and Phase 2 clone troopers, and they were different and they had different loadouts. And I think, from what they said, we're now getting clone troopers, which means that I think they've been smushed together. Whichever bit.
I know Star Wars people can get a little bit historical rivet countery in terms of, oh, that Stormtrooper's got the wrong brand of helmet from the wrong era with the wrong gun. You're just like,
it matters.
Does it? Okay. I mean,
from my perspective, it's more that I have these individual squads that I bought.
Yeah, and obviously then you're throwing two different, and they are slightly different. And
aesthetically they are different, and now
no, absolutely,
smushed. And,
I agree. Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm poking fun.
No, you're right to do so. It's more its early days, and I don't want to be too reactionary. I mean, Wargamers as a breed can be very reactionary. We can be very, it's change. Run, the building's on fire.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I want to see how this develops and what it becomes and all that kind of stuff. So,
at least the rules are free, unlike certain people. Cards are free, unlike certain people, or certain companies. You still have your miniatures. I mean, that's all good. Does it use bespoke dice or is it card? Yeah, they're the same. I'm guessing they're not going to change.
So many tokens.
Tokens. But I mean, so it's perfectly playable, which is good. And then you can just see how it unfolds. If there's no FOMO of, or you must buy the starter box or you won't get, Darth Vader in his underpants kind of model.
I'm here for it. I mean,
we don't want that. Yeah,
totally.
Just say it ourselves.
Anyway. So that's Legion. Legion is good. Legion is hopeful. Legion is positive.
Was a lot of Star Wars news. That is a lot of Star Wars.
That is almost the end of the stuff we could talk about Star Wars. A little bit later on, but for now. Now we're on to Warmachine.
Ooh, yeah.
That's something that we didn't think. Well, I didn't think we'd be talking
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Isn't that the?
It's interesting because Warmachine was having its heyday around the same time the X-Wing was.
A little bit before, but yeah.
Right, certainly. Like if you talk about in the US and stuff like that, it rose again, and then it rose once more.
I remember my club. This is kind of when I was kind of going to university and stuff. Around then, so that's a while back. It was kicking off then.
Yeah.
And it was taking over our club. Like everyone was playing it.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone, but a lot of people were playing it. Yeah, and obviously very tournament cutthroat focused.
Yeah, I don't know the tournament's the right word, but certainly get good.
Yeah.
Not a game for the faint of heart.
No, and I remember describing it to someone on a forum, I think it was, or Reddit or something. Maybe it was probably a forum, they existed back then. I said it feels a bit like Magic the Gathering with cards, with models, in terms of I do my combo of I catapult my monster forward and then buff him and then shoot him into your leader and then rip his head off, or I don't, and then I win or I lose.
Yeah.
And some people going, oh, that's hyperbole. And someone goes, no, that's the exact strategy you use with such and such a faction as like the little reptile monster dragon things. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of where I've seen it because I've had it done to me so many times.
Yeah,
you know, and it's just like,
it's a Convergence or Retribution. I used to play Convergence and Retribution, and the one with the Clockwork Angels, Aurora was the master that you could, the Warcaster.
No, these were
you could
like they had hydras and little kind of shark dinosaur. I don't know what they're called. I can't remember. But yeah, I've been eaten alive. I had the undead, and they were like, I like the aesthetic. They're the only ones I like the aesthetic of the undead stuff.
See, I like the Warjacks. I did like the Warjacks. I thought they were cool. The steampunk aesthetic, certain bits inside of it were very, very funky. I owned a couple of armies for a while, and then
the early fluff was kind of bad.
Yeah, but they've improved on that. And the
yeah, they have.
Very
they
good.
have. Yeah,
and then they kind of, I think, from what I understand, they hit a bad edition, and then
they did a second edition, and then they did a third edition. But I think they had issues with production in terms of they changed over the larger models to a kind of resin,
right?
Which was a worse quality but a higher price, and it's already not cheap.
No, it was not cheap.
Like comparatively, and then you combine that with maybe a slightly more antagonistic audience of cutthroat people. And then it just kind of petered out, basically. Yeah.
But now it's back.
But it's back again.
It's back.
It kind of, as I say, it half died before, and then kind of lingered on, and then died out, and now it's back. But it's back, as I say, it's back by Steamforge, who I believe did Guild Ball.
Yep, and an awful lot of board games tied into computer game and IPs. So. Yes. Horizon Zero Dawn, Dark Souls, Resident Evil, that kind of stuff. They do board games for that.
So obviously they're good at doing miniatures and production and logistics of board gaming type of stuff.
Yeah.
Great. But they also did Guild Ball, which my understanding of Guild Ball is that's finished or over or discontinued or unsupported. Because
X-Wing just earlier.
Yeah, but I believe it might be social media or something, but they kind of said, "Oh, the crowd's too competitive and too salty or something. We're not going to bother our bums."
Yeah, I think it was as
I may be paraphrasing. I may be paraphrasing here, but
I think the complaint was you're too competitive, so you want stuff that's broken, and you also want to club seals.
Yeah. As I say, a bit more. Maybe I don't know if it was intentional or if it was the community or it was just how it was played or what. As I say. I know one person who played it, and I don't think he was a seal clubber, so I don't know. We both know him and love him very much, so you know.
He did get a bit salty when we were talking about this the other day.
Oh, did he? Okay.
But I could read, when you read a message from somebody like that, he was pouting when he wrote that one.
Yes.
There was a pout. There was a pout.
so you take this company who's gone. This game is too. You're taking this too seriously. Let's put it that way. You're taking it too seriously, right? Now we're going to merge this game, which is known for its, as I say, I'm going to say cutthroat nature.
Page 5 rules.
The famous page 5.
Page 5. If you don't know what page 5 was, it was literally in the rule book at one point with Warmachine, and it was kind of.
How do you say this without swearing?
Suck it up, Buttercup, and get good.
Yeah, get good, suck it up, yeah, Buttercup. Yeah,
this is going to hurt. It's not going to be fun.
Stop whinging.
Get on with it.
Yeah,
and it was just I had that rule book with that in, and it was like
I did too. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Don't tell me I'm not going to have fun with something I just bought.
I mean, yeah. You see, I think a large part of the issue is right. We've played. There are other games like Malifaux. You put some monster and you're like, oh my god, I can't. Just need to avoid that. But the game's not about murderizing the big monster. The game's about getting the objectives or putting the bombs down or kidnapping the person or doing your scheme. You have to play around it.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously in this, it's about can I assassinate their leader and just ruin the game? Yeah. And I think it was that kind of all or nothing mentality, which I'm sure was great for tournaments. It meant they were very quick.
Yeah, but I think that there's nothing wrong if you want to play that way.
There
are times where I'm like, okay, I want to put together a list that is violence and death incarnate, and I want to go out and do a violence. That's it. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
ex-Blood Angels player.
Yeah, sure. Run forward, cut the head off. Right. Skulls for the
Black
Emperor.
Ranged. So
Yeah.
that I get that, but to have a game that's based around that, and now to have a company that's in charge of it that may not be great with handling competitive players, maybe.
Back. Yeah. That's my concern.
But no, I mean, I guess it'll be one to watch. The community seems to be grateful that something's actually happening, but I hope that Steamforge can deliver the experience that the existing community wants.
I think so. I think if they
can
deliver the experience that the current existing legacy community, we say, wants, maybe tone down the murderize people straight away.
That's what it is. I mean,
I suppose that's what it's known for. Yeah, it's
when I've spoken to anyone about Warmachine or Hordes, as was as well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, what's Warmachine like? It's violent, it's bloody, and it's going to hurt.
It's kind of like
this.
It's kind of like signing on to play a MOBA. It's like you're going to get screamed at and told to, go and hero yourself, as they say on the internet, and jump off cliffs, and you're losing the game just because you logged in on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And pick the wrong character. It's quite a high learning curve, but obviously they're very popular.
But
it's almost
you could get beyond that.
It's 89.99 degrees of a wall.
The other players will grab you by the back of the neck and drag your face up that wall until you get to the level you need to be.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be painful.
If you can do that,
but yeah,
and if that appeals.
Yeah, and as I said, I've definitely had fun playing it, but I can see why it went kind of the way it did sometimes as well. Because when you have a game like that with a high bar to entry, you're not getting new people in. It's not a cheap game either compared to maybe other games. So, that's always the thing you have to factor in as well. It's like, well, how do we? Because there's always going to be a churn of people. Like they can all get you in. It's very easy to get in. That's what you want. You want an easy on ramp. But for this,
it's going to be a tough. If they can get. So I can't remember what they were called. They had their own ground team for doing demos and stuff like that. What the heck
Privateers.
Privateers, thank you very much. Because the original company that made it was Privateer Press.
Privateer Press, yeah.
Before they sold, because we didn't say this, they did sell to Steamforged.
Okay.
So along with all of their other bits and pieces and the other trappings and the RPG that they make as well, all gone that way. So Privateers were around to introduce people to the game. If they have a route in and incentivized to bring people into the game, ease them into it, then maybe Warmachine will.
As I say, it's very popular for a good run, a good couple of editions. Second edition, third edition.
With fierce loyalty to it. There are a lot of people with fierce loyalty to it. I have a couple of good friends who, as soon as they saw this, were kind of like, really?
Yeah.
Hope springs eternal.
So it's going to be interesting, and it's good. More games better, more options better.
Yeah,
ultimately.
That's good. Absolutely. So, Warmachine, another one that we have hope and positivity for, and send positive vibes the way of the community.
I can't say I wouldn't be tempted. I know I might have sounded negative about it, but if it became a thing again, I'd be like, just
power
you just want
right there.
You just want a taste of can I do it? It's that kind of thing.
You like killing seals.
Oh yeah, totally. Totally. I'm well known for it. All over the south coast of England, I'm known for hammering people.
And also the tabletop. Anyway, so that's
what I do on my Friday nights when I'm 6 Stella Artois in, right, is my own business.
A light evening for you then. Right. Moving on, second to last element of the news.
Yeah. Yes.
So we have just also heard the news from Wyrd, the manufacturers and designers of Malifaux, that they are redesigning a keyword, which is to say an entire crew, has just got redone. So the one in question is for the 10 Thunders faction. The keyword is Oni or Oni. I always say Oni.
I say Oni too. It's Japanese, so I guess it'll depend on your accent and where you're from and so
Absolutely.
on.
So the Oni keyword
means
basically...
a demon or a spirit or an ogre.
It does indeed. So Oni, specifically for the master. So in Malifaux you have a master that runs a crew. A whole set of miniatures will be usable, will be recruitable by that master. They're the big boss person, and they will have a keyword, and you can tell who's supposed to go with the master based on they have that keyword. There are some exceptions. There are some that are versatile and can go with multiple, but as a general guide, if you're not familiar with Malifaux, so the only keyword belongs to Asami, a character called Asami. She's the master. Very screwed up backstory. Malifaux can be very dark. This is one of them. She has a demon in the back of her head that eats people, which is nice. I think
she's
that's
nice. I'm not that. She's the one in the kimono with the hair and the demon in the head. Yeah,
that's the one. And there's an alt version of her as well, which is even more screwed up.
Oh yeah, some of the alt versions are amazing.
Yeah, but it's essentially her entire crew. The way it kind of worked was that when you activated anyone in the crew, you could get a buff by getting a flicker token, something called a flicker token. So you say, right, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to get a flicker token.
Yeah.
And it's going to make me better. I'm going to get all the buffs for the next turn. And when you had a certain number of flicker tokens, three it was, I think, you disappeared.
Okay, you blinked out of existence.
You blinked out of existence, basically.
Yeah.
And certain characters within the keyword could summon, including Asami herself, could summon other Oni and bring them into existence. Ways around it, but they came with flicker tokens, and then they'd accrue more, and they'd wink out of existence. That is incredibly rough, incredibly.
Could it snowball? Is that the problem?
No.
I've never played against. Like, I've played a fair bit of Malifaux, as you know. I've never actually played Asami or against her, so I'm not that familiar with this faction.
Yeah, it's
or some faction, I should say. I have a bit of 1000s, but actually not Asami, bizarrely.
It could sort of snowball, but not really.
Okay.
But it was very limited on what you would end up summoning for various reasons. But the important thing was you could summon these things in, and they'd stay for the rest of the game. You just don't buff them and keep them off doing missions and stuff, and
so they never blink. There. You never blink. You just kind of go to 2 flicker and you stop.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And stuff like that. But also for newer players, you came in and it was like, right, so we've got these tokens that we can summon, and then this and then and there were other compound rules within that. And then if they killed one, they lost a flicker token. But then if it was Wednesday and last Tuesday it rained, then you also got 3 flicker tokens on the cake that you also got to live on Saturday. So I had this whole set of rules, and it was all a little bit overly complicated for a lot of people, and a lot of people weren't really playing it. It was a bit of a faff, and it wasn't really that strong and all that kind of stuff. So Wyrd being weird, turned around and went, well, that's not working, let's just redo it all. So they've gone back to brass tacks with it, looked at it with fresh eyes, and changed pretty much every element within that crew and within that keyword and reworked them. I think that the rework is really interesting. I think that it adds more flavour. It gives the fight. So if you summon something, then it gets a flicker token at the end of its activation. No, it loses a flicker token, sorry. When it comes into existence, it gets flicker tokens that it burns at the end of each turn, and when it runs out, it disappears. So we have this summoning and disappearing type thing. It's interesting. It's cool. I think it speaks very highly of Wyrd, that they were Wyrd, the manufacturers of Malifaux, that they saw this, that they saw that there was a problem with that crew, because Asami she's a legacy. We're in 3rd edition at the moment. She is from way back when. And they were aware of that one. They saw it as an issue, and they've responded. And I think,
as a company,
golf clap all the way.
Yeah, as a company, Wyrd, like, as I say, there's certain things that pop up, and Malifaux's got a strong narrative element to it, and it's got a really strong tournament element to it. It is literally, to me, in my mind, it is the best of both worlds. Yeah. It's such a great game, and the rules are tight. They are on point as far as I'm concerned. They are really, really good rule set. When issues happen, they fix them, and they don't just go patch, paper over it. They look at it and they go, right, okay, we need to, delete this paragraph, paste this paragraph. Also, the rules are free. And if you want the books, they have the fluff, but the rules are free. They also put fluff on the website.
But the fluff is so good.
Yeah, yes, really good and dark. And this is not for kids, right? It's dark stuff, right?
It's glorious. It's like they've just recently they finished a story arc with a character called the Burning Man. You should read it. Brilliant. But they had so much fluff, and it progressed so much of the lore and new characters and new stuff. Um, anyway, but no, it is good to have a company that is switched on enough that
Yeah.
they're not just looking at the next thing they're going to sell you, but they're looking at the thing they sold you 5 years ago and saying, actually, guys, that's not good enough.
The health
We're
of the
going to
game.
do that.
Yeah, it's a healthy game. That's a good way to describe it, I think.
It is, and it's a joy to see. It's a joy to be part
Yeah.
of. That's good. Link in the description below where you can find out all the information about what they've done. The old.
I do love the name of the forum as well. It's just,
The naming stuff that Wyrd comes up with is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, what he's referring to is the domain name for that, or the
Yes.
address for that is the most excellent and awesome forum ever -wyrd.com.
It's just, that'll tell you all you need to know about them as a design aesthetic, should we say?
Already, I think their shop is something like please buy our stuff.shop-wyrd.com.
Yeah. It's just.
All right then, if I must.
They realise they're making toy soldiers. They're having fun with it, but it's a great. It's, as I say, it's probably one of the healthiest war games in all its editions I've ever played. I've played over. I haven't played first edition, but second edition, third edition. But you don't need tons of terrain. You don't need tons of models. You need a deck of cards, not tons of dice. You need a measure tape, I guess.
And tokens. You do need tokens.
And tokens, yeah.
There are places there are websites you can go where they generate them for you. And
yes.
You print them off and cut them out.
Yeah. I've done that, and I got a 1mm hole punch and laminated it and just stamped it out. But yeah, the barrier to entry to Malifaux will be the putting the models together. Is literally your barrier to entry. Of course, you get an adult to help you.
I've needed adult supervision my entire life. I still do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. What's next on the agenda?
That's you.
That's me.
You
Yes.
Talk about there's some minor.
There's some minor updates. That's totally not a new edition.
Just some weird system.
Some niche game.
Guys, I'm sorry about this bit. It's pretty niche. He's got some very unique interests.
There's
if you haven't heard of this, just tune out. It's fine. But carry on. You want to
small game. Very few people have heard of it. D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Obviously, it's not quite a war game, but it touches on the sphere.
We're going to talk about RPGs too.
I know. I'm just everything else.
It gives me a justification by the Alien RPG that I've been looking for a reason to buy for ages.
I saw that and I thought of you, and I was like, do I tell him about this or not?
No, I know it. I know it sat there, and I'm just like, I was in a store a couple of weeks ago, and I saw a copy of the core of it, and I was just like, no.
That'd be interesting. Like, can you play as the alien? That's always the question. Anyway. Yeah, so D&D, it's the big elephant of RPGs, basically where it's trademark eroded, like Xerox or photo instead of photocopy, as we'd say over here, or Photoshop instead of photo manipulation software, or Google something instead of search engine or search. So like you play D&D, but you're playing Aliens or you're playing whatever, the Malifaux RPG, the Warmachine RPG, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay,
D&D. What have you got going on with D&D?
Last time I got it on my shelf, Cyberpunk, Vampire.
Tell us about D&D.
Right, there's a new edition of D&D. No, it's not a new edition. It's an update, but it's a new edition. It's like the 3.5. It's kind of like it's half compatible, half not compatible. In that everything gets slightly stronger, so all your old stuff is now going to be slightly just out of whack a bit. The new Player's Handbook is due the 17th of September this year, and then the DMG is November. But the Monster Manual is not out. The Dungeon Master Guide. Sorry. It'll have your traps, your magic items, your how to play a game of D&D, how to do silly things and blow up people. And then you've got the Monster Manual, which I'd argue in a lot of cases, in my experience, is more important than the Dungeon Master Guide. Because you can kind of make up the stuff in the Dungeon Master Guide, but it's hard to make up the monsters because they kind of have to be balanced and not just kill everyone. But that's not until January. And this is where there's been two kind of llama dramas about this. One is that they used to have a thing called it's basically an open OGL, open game license, in that the core mechanics of the game, the D20s and a fighter and a thief and a cleric and a wizard and certain monsters like goblins and orcs, but not mind flayers or beholders, anyone could use. And this led a load of content, especially in third edition. There was so much third-party content, it kind of got ridiculous. They tried to change that. People kicked up a stink, and there was a bit of backlash. So they kind of backed away from it. But people are still not happy. Also, they're trying to digitalize and monetize this a lot more in terms of a virtual tabletop where you can have like your avatar and you can have models. So if you buy all this D&D stuff electronically, which is tied to your account, where you have to pay a monthly fee to access. You get access to the tabletop, but you also get like a limited gold dragon model or something, and you get access to all the books early. So they're pushing the monetization, which isn't surprising because they literally replaced their CEO with the guy who used to run World of Warcraft. So obviously they're trying to monetize D&D. It doesn't get them a lot of money compared to Magic. Like Magic just makes Wizards of the Coast. It's printing, like literally printing money. They might as well be printing.
Yeah, with all the different things they're bringing out these days, you can tell.
Yeah, well, this
the 40k edition, the Smurfs edition.
It's so. But obviously, D&D's become massively popular with the pandemic. Critical Role. It's in popular culture.
It was so ubiquitous before that.
And it was ubiquitous before that, but it was a nerd thing. Whereas now it's like, oh, celebrities play this, loads of people play it. It's
Thank you, Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, that was the one.
I knew you were reaching for it. I thought I'd leave you in there for a little bit.
Yeah. So it's become more popular. Obviously, they want to monetize it, which is their right, and they own it. But then, how generic is the game that people don't need it? Like, this is the question. It largely seems to be an update to 5th edition with a few. Like 5th edition, in my mind, was one of the better editions. It merged like some of the better aspects of the previous, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th editions that I've played together, and distilled the kind of best part. But they did this in 3rd edition with 3.5, and in 4th edition they had Essentials, which kind of patched the game and added a few FAQs and stuff. But it also, for 4th, made the game easier to access because it was started to get a bit clunky. But obviously online, there's the whole I will buy this because I love D&D, and others are like, they're evil, I'm never buying anything again, and your mileage may vary.
Yeah, the problem is, I think, especially if you buy their stuff digitally, do you get it as a PDF or do you have to use that? Yes, I'm not.
You have to use the portal. Yeah.
I'm not good for that.
Yeah, it's
it's the same problem that we have these days with a lot of digital platforms. So, like, I own a few movies via various digital platforms. I only own them as long as that platform chooses to host it.
Yes, you have the license to view it on the platform as opposed to owning it.
That's the thing. And if they decide to delete, change, amend, I mean, you're talking about the core structure of D&D here. If they just, I don't know, decide to change the rules.
They've done this already. They've done this before. So if you bought, I think it was one of the monster supplement books. I think it was Mordenkainen's Magnificent Menagerie or something like that. Mm-hmm. And traditionally, it used to be that Drow are evil. They live underground. They are evil. They will catch you and sacrifice you to the spider goddess and eat your sleep. Orcs are evil. They will maraud and pillage and burn your house down and kill you and eat your spleen. Goblins are stupid but evil and will maraud and pillage and kill you and eat your spleen, right?
Your spleen is basically screwed.
Yeah. But obviously, you could play as an orc, you could play as a drow. Obviously, Driz being the first example. You could have played in theory as an orc or half orc, and you're not always evil. What they kind of meant was that as a racial concept and society, they're evil. But then this has racial tones saying, oh, so all X people are evil. Yeah. And then people kind of go, oh, well, drow are dark skinned, so you can see where this is going, especially in America. Yeah. Which is kind of bizarre because in my mind, from playing Baldur's Gate, the drow are Welsh. But that's another story for another day. They have Welsh accents.
Not going there, boyo.
Instead of saying loth, they say cloth, like a double L, like a London no sound. Anyway, it's bizarre. Anywho, so they decided to kind of go, well, usually evil. That was kind of how it leaned in 4th edition. Often evil, usually evil. Their society is evil, they've raised, they don't know any better. They go, well, sacrificing kids is what we do. Whereas now they basically retconned this in a later thing of 5th to just remove all references to the alignment. But they literally did it to, so I have a book, and if I had the online version, the two of them are not the same, even though they're the same book.
Which is just, I mean, okay, with that kind of thing, I don't necessarily have a problem with.
No. In my mind, yeah, okay, as a society, if they worship the spider goddess in Faerun, most of them are evil. They're going to kill you and sacrifice the spider goddess, right, fine. Yeah. But if you're playing your own game where you're in Happy Fairy Lululand, like, they could be the good guys. Who knows? Like, the whole point of D&D is the rules are made to be broken at the end of the day.
They are, but the point remains that if they have the control over your version of this book, they can do what they want.
That is true.
That's not good. It's just we've got so many live services. So I'm going to refer this to computer games for a minute, but we've got so many live services now, like Anthem, that was going to be the new hotness that came out from the guys that made Halo. No, anyway, whoever it was. I lose track now, but they brought that out. It was the biggest thing ever. It wasn't. It didn't live up to the hype. It failed. They turned it off.
Oh, really?
As I understand it, it's now gone. So yeah, I could have got this possibly more wrong, but I would have had to try. Obviously, it was developed by BioWare, which is Mass Effect, and the servers are still up for the time being. They've stopped development. There are other live services that have died. My point still stands. It was late. It was late, okay? It happens. Anyway, back to the action. So
wow. So you've bought a game. And there's you and your 12 mates in the world that play it still. You're like in the one clan in the world. And then they decide, oh yeah, we're turning it off.
We're turning it off. What are you going to do?
That's like...
You can't even play it single player because it's a live service.
Oh, wow.
That's the same here with D&D.
In theory...
rules,
like, I think...
But we decide for whatever reason. Because I mean, I'm not advocating this, but that if all D&D players are forced to use that platform, you've just put a huge target on that platform for the scumbags out there that like targeting and screwing with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they could shut down the D&D community globally.
I imagine not to pander to stereotypes, but I imagine the D&D Venn diagram and the of information security people Venn diagram has a bit of overlap.
This is it, and
maybe
somebody could just for the funsies.
You don't know. It's Wizards of the Coast. I mean, they're fairly big. They're owned by Hasbro, who are obviously massive.
Sorry, did Microsoft not just have a complete?
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, it wasn't. Yeah.
It's nothing. It's IT. It's fallible.
Yes, absolutely. And at the end of the day, the real thing for me is as a DM, like I play in a youth group. The thing is, you also put away your phone because you don't need your phone. You need your character sheet, which is a piece of paper, a pencil, some dice, and yourself being the most important thing. As opposed to sitting, looking at your phone. You're being attacked for damage. What? Oh, what's happening? That's happened so many times that I'm kind of like, unless literally you need your phone for like your character sheet. Some of the younger kids, they'll be trying to get the phones. I'm like, guys, phones away because I'm not going to repeat myself. Again and again and again.
Yeah, you're here or you're there.
You're here. You're either here playing a game or you're not. And if you don't want to be, I'm not going to get offended. It's fine. So to me, that's the thing. If the more people are tied to the digital, less great to me. Because to me, it's getting together. It's having that crack. And the memes and the jokes and everything. That's what D&D is about, and you don't really get that the same on the internet. It's just giving more control over the corporations
and monetization, the ability for them to charge you
that's massive.
For access to something that you've bought.
Yes, yeah. I'd rather have the Dead Tree copy, definitely.
Yeah, it's
not a complicated game. Like my actual concern with the edition is there are less options. So for a wizard, you used to be able to pick generalist. You can't now, but you pick Evoker, Conjurer, Diviner, Illusionist, Necromancer, Transmutator. I'm sure there's another one. I forgot one.
Necromancer. Anyway, do you say that one?
Say Necromancer, my favorite one. Necromancer, right. Cleric domains. There's light, life, nature, death, war, forge, Twilight. There's tons, right?
Yeah.
But even the core book, right? The core book, there's 7 wizard options, 7, and about 6 or 7 cleric domains. There are now 4 for each. I'm sure the other ones will come in other books, but I already have 7 wizard options. Why am I paying to update to an edition that doesn't change that much to get less options? Now, I argue you get 1 more option for each of the other classes, but I already have the expansions that have tons of subclass options. I have a book that has, literally is like the Player's Guide to Faerun or whatever it is, Soul Coast Adventurer's Guide. It literally has 3 more subclasses for everything except a wizard, bizarrely. Yeah. And I have other, you know what I mean? I'm just like, who is this for? Is it just a kind of like we need to reprint for the sake of reprinting? It just, I don't know, feels weird.
Shifting over to the different monetization.
Yeah, like it feels like a bit of a cash grab is kind of my gut feeling.
It sounds like it. It does sound a lot like it.
You know,
and quite callously so, which is a bit.
well, it's also off the back of a bit of they don't have a lot of community goodwill at the minute after the OSO thing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
I say OSO, that's optical screen recognition. OGL thing.
Yeah.
OGL. They lost a bit of rep there. And then you see then people as well are realizing there are other RPGs out there.
It's RPGs for everything these days.
Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes there's not, and okay, sometimes you have to reskin, and that is innovation. But generally speaking, when you go, it's like large, it's like Alien, it's like Fallout, it's like something big. There's probably an RPG or something very similar with the serial numbers filed off.
Yeah.
That you can use.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, but the reason D&D obviously is important, just to bring it back round and wrap up before we go to the mini reviews, is because it's the big one, and obviously any change there, it would be like if She Who Shall Not Be Named with the implement of the nail impaling, if they did something radical tomorrow and they just cancelled sort of half their lines. Yeah, if they just cancelled, they just said 40k is over now, it's finished, the story's over, no more. If they did something mental like that.
Like they did with OS and just deleted the whole set of armies.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, only 2.5. It's only 2.5. It's fine.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah.
It's the big one.
Hopefully, there will be the orchestral sound of heads being removed from bums, and the
saving grace is that apparently it's backwards compatible, but they said that before. So it's backwards compatible in that you can read the fluff and make up your own modern rules version.
For now, because they can change the rules anytime they want in the book that you've already bought because you don't own it. It's on their platform.
And the thing is as well, unless they update that, if they're updating stuff regularly, you have to keep up with updates. It's different if they put an FAQ and you just have an FAQ and it's updated whenever you have just one document where it's FAQ and you know what's changed. But if it's changing the text, you won't know until you read through that text again.
Or the changelog, which could be.
Yeah, which you might not have access to. I don't know. It's interesting, but obviously they are shifting. If you want a more nuanced take on this, I think it's Professor Dungeon Master on YouTube. He's a dean. Well, he's an RPG guy, but has a more of a insight about the background to all this. It's very good.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. But just worth talking about. It's good. RPGs are slow moving, but obviously they're like a glacier. It's big when it happens.
Yeah. As we see.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed that this will work its way out.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for the news.
That's it for the news.
And let's move on to new releases. Okay, well, with that small section of news out of the way, let's take a look at some of the new releases that are coming, just about to come. Pre-order. Yeah, the new pretty stuff. If you've been in a box or haven't, this is your first experience with the Dice Gods, we've been quite into a little thing called Warcrow, which is... Never heard of that. Well, here's a link.
It's Crow with a machine gun. Obviously, right?
It could be. It's not, but it could be. Up here is going to be a link to the Warcrow playlist that we have, but essentially it is a brand new fantasy unit level, so 20-ish miniature war game from Corvus Belli, the makers of Infinity. So that is just about to launch for the very first time. It's out for pre-order at the moment. So as of next month, the boxes will be landing with people of the rulebook, the 2-player battle box, which is called Winds from the North, and you can get all of that together with the very fantastic Ice Bear miniature, who is a character for one of the forces in the Winds from the North box, called the Northern Tribes.
He's the werebear type guy.
Yeah, he's the werebear type. He's a Varank. So essentially Northern Tribes is orcs plus Varank, who are a type of shapeshifter. They have a magic tattoo that lets them transform into the blue guys.
Yeah.
That lets them transform into these various animals, and so from memory, the strength of that defines how far they go. And Ice Bear goes all the way. He goes full Ice Bear. They actually released his stats for the first time the other day.
Oh yes, yeah. Because I remember there was a bit of a. I was watching videos. I was like, we can't show you this stuff yet. And I'm like, you gets.
I know it was one of those things. I because I'm a war core for Corvus Belli, we had the box quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I did was open up Iceberg and go, "Are you any good? Oh my god!" And then had the whole thing of, "I'm just going to put that on the... I'm not going to put that on the internet." I'm
You can't,
not.
I can't. You could, but I
I
suppose
could, but it just didn't feel right.
Did you have an embargo or no?
We didn't. Some people did.
Okay, interesting.
But we didn't.
You showed restraint. Interesting.
No, I think
No, it's fair.
So Corvus Belli had this whole marketing plan built up on the hype machine, and part of that is for them to release this information to the world when they're ready, and also when people can buy it. Because if I turn around a month before you can place something in order and go, "Yeah, how cool is this?" You can go, "Yeah," and in a month you'll go,
"Yeah, no, certain game, nail."
Yeah, Warhammer.
I'm not allowed to say that. I thought, hang on. No, yeah. So the latest Warhammer thing, Age Sigma 4, like there was this massive hype, and like all the channels got all the rules, but couldn't show us them, but couldn't play games. But then they could show some of the rules, but not all of the rules. And you're just like, either give us them for free, which you told us you want to do, and let us play the bleeping game, or don't and just wait till release day. I mean, I understand it's hype and so on, but they did it so early, kind of like. Everyone's just kind of like, we were hyped, but now we're just kind of annoyed because the hype's over, because it's lasting too long. The hype doesn't last forever, lads.
No, it doesn't. I think CB started the lead in with Warcrow 2 years ago, over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was just taking people through development and all the rest of it. Warcrow is actually
this
older than Infinity.
It was originally RPG miniatures, right? I think, or something. It was like
well, they were going to develop their own system, but then they decided.
Corvus is a crow and a bellum, and Bella causes.
It's all the name.
It's war, yeah. It's the name is Warcrow, like yeah.
The Corvus Belli were originally going to make Warcrow, but then instead diverted to Infinity. So Warcrow is older than Infinity.
Yeah. And Infinity was originally an RPG, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was some development as an RPG, and then it kind of became a
war game, and
they
were debating taking it into that sphere. Yeah. But anyway, so now it's here. We have the 34mm miniatures. They're gorgeous. They are.
They look.
Oh, they are. I mean, there are a couple of issues. They are Ceocast or thermoplastic, which some people hate. It is a system that uses custom dice. Some people hate that. We have a full review of it. Well, by now, by the time this goes out, that review will be out in the wild. It's actually on Tuesday that it drops. A full review of the system, but spoilers for that if you haven't seen it already. The system's good. The thing that I am finding with Warcrow is that it's fun. So we've got Warcrow coming out, which is good.
But the minis are lovely.
The minis are lovely, and
and
I think the introduction set is well worth investing in with the rulebook. The rulebook, because it's got the fluff in it, of it.
It's not that expensive. It's not the cheapest, but it's not super.
It could be a lot worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
There are people that are super against custom dice. There are people that are super against Ceocast. If that's you,
I've not really had any.
It's not for you.
I'm neutral on Ceocast. Custom dice I'm generally not a fan of, generally because I want more than they supply, and there's never enough.
Well, the great thing about the pluses and minuses. Within Warcrow, you are limited to throwing no more than 3 of any one colour of dice, because the colour of dice are graded. So there are 6 colours, 3 of each in the box, which is great.
Yeah.
So that is one complete set of dice for 2 armies, and there's the problem. You're going to need a second set of dice if you're splitting the box with a friend. You need 1 of each.
Yeah.
Not a major one, but
you can buy that separately though, I believe.
You can indeed, and that will be during the launch period, I think. Anyway. That's Warcrow. If you haven't checked it out, check out the videos. You need to do that. You owe it to yourself.
100%.
Next, we'll quickly run through the Infinity releases for the coming couple of months, because those are all out.
I can sing my song.
You can sing your
War back, Betty, tick blang. War back, Betty, tick blang. That's a really old song.
It is. It is indeed.
A really old meme from when I had. Is it ASA had tick blangs?
ASA Shock Army. Yeah. So we're about to get a remodel of a classic Infinity miniature, the Tick Blang tag.
It's like a baby tag.
It's Silhouette 6. It's a light Stingray tag. It's one of my favourites. I have one of the old sculpts up here. Old scope Tick Blang right here.
I don't know if I prefer this. Should I see the old one again? Sorry, I was looking at this.
It's the old one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Mm,
if I like the old one more.
I might do. I might do. But the interesting about it is that Tick Belangs belong in two factions. They belong in Pano Shock Army back on Savento,
Mm-hmm.
which
Or
is
ASA.
currently or ASA, which is currently on hiatus. It's not
Yeah.
in
That's the
production.
legacy, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you call
Yeah,
it.
they've got rules. They're all up to date, but you
Yeah.
can't buy miniatures. Basically, that's where you are. And for military orders, that's pretty much where it pops up. Those
Is
two.
it in MO as well? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Never
Arguably a
saw
better
it.
version, but anyway. However, I, being the joking jester that I
Joke up.
am, saw the release information from Corvus Belli, retweeted it, and said, "Shock Army re-release
Like when? What?
confirmed,"
Yeah.
and they retweeted my tweet, and I'm like, "Don't play with my emotions. Don't
Son
play
of
with
a
my feet. I've been hurt
son of a
before."
duck. Son of a quack. Oh.
I love Shock Army. It's a fantastic force,
Yeah.
and in fact, it's the only. I
It does
hold my
look.
record with Shock Army that I went 10 games without loss, and the last 6 of those 10 that I won were through tabling. And it's the only
Yeah,
army that I've
they were
done that with.
savage. They were savage.
They are absolutely glorious in so many ways. So
Isn't this?
maybe that means that.
I'm just looking at that model close up. It is a lot more anime style or something. They're definitely changing the style slightly. Like they are leaning
Yeah.
into the more manga style, which is good. I mean, because that's kind of what it was sold as, you know. And
Yeah,
but
no, going back to the
the other
roots. God
the other one's
damn.
glorious. The other one's glorious. Like.
We shall see. So we've got that one coming. That one drops next month. We also have the Mechazoid for the Japanese secessionist army.
That's the big. Is that the two swordy kind of?
The two swordy choppy picture.
Yeah.
The Sokorentai, which is the second tag for the Japanese secessionist army, JSA.
It's a tag, is it? It's not a.
It's the Silhouette 6 tag, so it's a light tag.
It's baby, as I would call it, baby tag.
Exactly. But
it's a soccer. Yeah, Mechazoid's Socorenta. Sorry, yeah. I thought it was yeah.
So they released that, and everyone was hype, and then they released the stats, and everyone hated it.
That old chestnut.
Which was really disappointing. Well, no, the problem is that we already have the Oyori in JSA. That recently got a new miniature.
Well, that's the big one.
That is the big one. That is the big one.
Yeah.
But these are only like, I think something stupid like 9 or 18 points cheaper. They're not a lot cheaper. They don't have a lot. Yeah, which is good. Don't get me wrong. It's good.
They look tougher though. It looks tougher than the Oyori. That's the thing. It looks like.
The new Oyori. Check out the new Oyori and then tell me that. That's on screen now. So the Oyori is a heavy tag. It's got crazy koalas, which give you some perimeter defense. It's got all kinds of awesome nastiness. And then the Mechazoid is just a bit bland. So unfortunately, the Mechazoid sort of arrived with a resounding eh.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, every time this happens, Wargamers always complain. It could always be more powerful, or it's always OP. These are the two options. There's no middle ground.
Didn't this not happen recently with what was the other S6 tag that came out a while back? I think it was either for Hack or for.
Oh yeah, the
was it for Hack? I can't remember.
I've got that over there. The Shakush. The Shakush.
And I was like, oh, it looks cool, but it's crap. And like, well, you're saying this for everything.
It's not crap. See, the Shakush has some unique things about it, and it's a nice. It's there's a space for it.
Right.
The problem is with the Mechazoid, there's heavy infantry that's pretty much as good as it, and there's a tag that's a little bit more expensive that is better than it. That's a little bit more. So it's kind of in this midland of it's not good enough to warrant not buying those and getting this instead. It's not.
Is the Mechanoid and an 18-point pleb better than an Oyori? Probably not.
So I think it has its place. I think it has its useful uses. I don't think it's quite as horrific as the pylon would suggest.
Of course.
But I don't think it's as potent as JSA deserve, because they've not had anything for a long time. So the Mechazoid is an interesting unit. I think it probably has its place. I don't think it's as bad as people say, but it's certainly after so many years of not having anything new.
Yes.
I think
fits
the
the vibe,
JSA is going to be the people running JSA are going to be massively disappointed because they've been waiting a while for something new, and then you give them
something adequate as opposed to something super.
slightly below adequate. It's like I'd buy it for the pretty miniature and then run it because I painted it.
Yeah.
That's where I am with that guy.
I'm looking at the record because to me, O2 are like because I kind of get out of it. O12.
So the next one that we're going to talk about, the next release that we've got coming up, is the
fun.
O12 Wrecker, which is another tag. It's another S6 tag.
I'm guessing you're popping up on screen as well.
Oh yeah, that'll come between us, darling.
So much between us.
So the O12 Wrecker is the first tag for the Torchlight Brigade, which is the latest sectorial army in Infinity. Is for O12, and yeah, so Torchlight did a review of that up here. They are heavy armor, the heavy infantry, essentially. And
so 302, 02, 012, this new faction, that's because I sort of stopped playing Infinity before that they came in.
So they're primarily a police force, is what they're supposed to be.
I know about them from the background, but obviously as a faction.
This is Torchlight is a rapid reaction force, effectively.
Okay, this is like
militarized.
The SWAT team of the O12 or something.
Yeah, a little bit more unpleasant than that, but so the Wrecker is. It's an S6 tag. There are two. You can get two of them in a Torchlight list, which is fine.
As the children say, thick with two C's.
Pretty much. BS13. It's got built-in armor piercing and its weaponry, which is nice. It's armor 6. It's BTS 9 because everything in Torchlight has a lot of ability to resist hacking. And they're 50 to 60 points.
That's not bad.
With all the trimmings.
Assuming nothing crazy's changed in Infinity, that's. I see why I think it's thick. It's because its right leg has what looks like a holster or else an extra weapon slot jump behind it. That's what I was like. Its leg is massive. It's not. It's because there's a bloody weapon stuck onto it.
But it's a pretty unit. It has its place. I've played a list with two of them in, which was interesting.
Interesting. You played against it or with it?
Played against it.
Oh god.
Played against it at a tournament. It was interesting. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Did you use a proxy or was it?
Yeah, they were proxied. Most of the army was. This was when Torchlight was pretty new.
This was our previous version. Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting tag. It's an interesting tag in an interesting faction. There's not a lot at the moment with Torchlight of subtlety. They're not subtle.
No, it doesn't. When you have a name like Wrecker, generally speaking, it's either you're like an assassin and it's an ironic name, and you kind of sneak in through the night, and just drop 2 drops of poison in their morning glass of water and creep out, or you smash in with a sledgehammer. Like there's no, like it's either ironically and subtle, ha ha ha, or it's no, I have a sledgehammer.
No. Torchlight is not a subtle faction by any stretch of imagination. So we then moving on. We then get a new box of Yaozi, which are remotes for Yu Qing.
China.
And Korea and a whole set of other people.
He has to have a reference. He got shot.
Dear Lord.
Yes, and Korea and lots of
lots of other substations.
Japan
so in the box we get the Lu Duan, which is a Mark 12 heavy flamethrower with extra burst and hollow projector. A personal favourite.
Yes,
if you follow us on any social media, you'll have seen that I've been doing Invincible Army this year. The Lu Duan has appeared in a lot of my lists because of all the sneaky you can do with it.
I think it's in my ISS list because hollow projectors. It's like
there are 3 of me. No, there's only one. Which will you shoot?
Yeah.
Shell Games of Awesomeness.
Yeah.
And that only got better with the N4 edition because you if you lose your hollow state, then you establish it at the end of your turn.
Oh,
they just go.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Which is really nice.
Just reboots. Okay.
And you also have the Rushi in that box, which is either MSV1 or MSV2 with Red Fury or Spitfire. They've all got repeaters in them for extending your hacker network, and they're kind of in the mid sort of 20s, early to mid 20 points.
Yes, Rushi. I'm thinking I'm thinking Red. That's the Red Fury. That's not total reaction though. It's just got the repeater.
They both got repeaters on them, but the Rushi has MSV. So it's a camo hunter and quite an effective one.
Well, I've got the old and they're fine. I mean, I won't be replacing them, but those
Yeah.
ones look fine if you don't have them.
Yeah, they look nice.
Yeah.
They look
I
nice.
I
I'm
like
tempted to get another set, to be honest with you.
even the front of them, the legs look almost. That one's got what looks like a heart, but it's not. But even the leg shapes are quite similar. It's just the kind
Yes.
of body. It's the body shape, but they still have that kind of like almost scorpionish element to them.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
cool. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Moving on, we then have the Assassin
Yes.
expansion
So
pack
these,
Alpha, which is for hack. Um,
I still think Assassin of some of the scopes are they're very human and very like you can almost put them in like a modern game in a way. I know they're sci-fi and they're futuristic and stuff, but like even they used to have the sniper. It's a really old one. He's just like he's like doing that. He's doing a thing where like he's sitting, so he's kind of crouched down, but he's cradling the rifle.
Yeah.
He's not actually in it, and he's looking through the scope, but he's not like ready to shoot. He's just cradling it, and like it's just a really like he's been sitting there a long time kind of pose. It's like some of the scopes are brilliant for Assassin.
They are, and the new ones. I like the new sculpts. I like the new look of Assassin. Very much so. They've been nicely updated. I'm not actually a huge fan of this box. In truth,
What did they do? Assassin Fide.
That's the Infiltrator Impersonator, which is fine.
Yeah, I know what they do, but I'm assuming that's the model on the right, is it?
I don't know what picture you're looking at, so that's going to be very difficult for me to say.
Of the three of them.
I'll put them up on screen as we're talking about them.
Okay.
So the Fide boarding shotgun is fine.
Is there a faction that can take 3 Fide?
I don't know how many you can get in Assassin off the top of my head. It's one of the few that I don't play.
Oh, come on, 3 Fide. You must know that joke. Oh, yeah, go on. Yes.
Then we have the Farzan with boarding shotgun, which it's an infiltrating camo marker that can be a command chain of command unit, which is useful, but I'm not sure it's that massively useful. And then you have the Leseek with viral rifle, which is okay and is basically there to fill out fire teams.
The old Starbox used to have a Leseek sniper.
The new Starbox has a Leseek in it. In fact,
you need 2 Leseek?
This Leseek just here. It comes in the Blackwind box.
That's the one. Yeah. Do you need 2 of them? Like the viral rifle is great against.
You can have 4 of them in a fire team, which means you need probably 3 of this box, and then the sniper. Yeah, I'm not convinced by that box. I'm not. It's kind of everything in it is. Nothing in it really blows my socks off.
Like the Fide by itself is useful because it's just a beast if you know what you're doing.
It's okay, but there's plenty of other places to get Fides.
Oh, is there?
Sure. If you already play hack, you probably hack. Yes, hack.
I mean,
if you already play hack, you probably have Fides.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't, there are plenty of places to get Fides. So
I guess it's this thing of they're moving away from single blister models.
Coming down the SKUs, which I get, but
but I mean, it's just a number. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything as a business. Space, I suppose, maybe, but
it's space. It's space for retail stores. If you want people to hold them and you have individual blisters and you have 500 individual blisters.
If they don't sell though, because you're thinking, well, I'm paying 14 quid for models per model, and I only need one of them, but I'm actually paying 42 quid. I only need one. I don't fit A, for example. Like, I don't know. It's an interesting question.
There's a couple of times I've had to buy these boxes and flip.
Yeah,
2 miniatures out of it, which is really annoying. And like there's the Mars spiders that came in the Nomad reinforcements. You can run them in a 5-man fire team. You only get 2 in a box, so you need 3 boxes of a 50, 60 euro
that's not good.
box.
That's not good. Because you used to get things you get in fire teams, you should just buy a box of them, and like then you'd buy a blister when you wanted the instead of the missile launcher, the machine gun or something. Like, that was cool.
The jury's out, and when they come out with boxes like this, I'm a little bit like, I'm not. I mean, hack players correct me in the.
What you see? My
wrong.
concern is not to touch on this too much, but just if you're getting into it and you think, oh great, I want to build this list, and I want a Fide. One of the places to get me is in a 42 euro box. But now I've got 2 models I don't want, and it just increases the barrier to entry because then you're buying boxes and stuff. And I know they have the expansions. You should buy the box and you have the expansions and stuff. But as you say, if you want a fire team, you might need to buy multiple boxes and things. So that's kind of my.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Not sure. Yeah.
Like, but in terms of model reviews, like I like what I'm assuming is the Assassin and the Furzan. Well, the Fide and the Furzan look cool.
They do.
The Leseek's a Leseek. I mean, it's fine.
Does the job.
Yeah, but the camo guy with the cloak and knife and shotgun and stuff, he looks cool.
Yeah, they're cool miniatures. There's no two ways about it. I'm just not sure whether sure whether this would appear anywhere in my must buy list. But
Yeah.
speaking of must buys, Ajax the Great.
We're cleaning your great drains, right?
Yeah. Cleaning your brains, I think. So the monster with the big hammer.
Speaking of subtle hammers, yeah.
So he's, if you're not familiar with him, he is a character that sits inside of the Steel Phalanx sectorial of
Steel Phalanx,
Aleph.
what?
Steel Phalanx, behave yourself. Sectorial of Aleph. Surprisingly, with that hammer, he's a close combat specialist.
It really doesn't throw at people.
But gorgeous looking miniature. Whether he's improved on the previous or not.
Is it still everyone taking, what's it says, Heracles and Patroclus?
You can't take Patroclus anymore. He died on a spaceship.
Oh, did he? Okay.
And Hercules. Yeah.
Still filthy. Well, we saw what happened at the tournament with everyone bringing Steel Phalanx and stuff.
Steel Phalanx is going a different way now. I don't know. He's not as potent as he used to be. There's other things you're going to see instead, I think.
I do like his man bag and a revolver. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's got like it looks like a gun, but it looks like it could be a revolver with the bulge. Yeah. And then he's got literally on his right hand side, he has I can only describe it as a man bag.
Yeah.
Because where else are you going to store your grenades?
Well, he's bald. He's got to keep the razor in there and stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely important.
But yeah,
it's the skulls of his enemies.
It's what remains of them.
Oh yeah.
The thing for wiping off the hammer.
Yes. It's got a polishing kit for the hammer. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Ajax, cool miniature, useful in game. It's going to be good to see him back on the table because he's been
big.
For a while.
He must be what, silhouette something stupid?
Yeah,
he's not silhouette 6, is he?
No, I don't think he's that big. But he's certainly bigger than the average bear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so then we have Invincible Army Action Pack.
Yeah,
this is another meh for me, unfortunately.
No, I looked at them all, I was like, ooh, shiny. And then I was like, hang on, what's in this? Because you're going to want, because you're sectorial, you're going to want a fire team.
Yeah.
You're going to want to expand this, because do you get 10 models in this?
You get 10 models in that, and you have got a fire team in there. It's just not a particularly good one. You've got 2 characters and
3
the
Zeons.
Zeons.
I'm guessing the 3, I can't remember, it's 3 Zongs will probably go with one of the characters.
They can go with both characters, and you have an invincible fire team, so they can all form together. So you can end up with that fire team. But the problem with it is, the problem with this box is simply this: there's no high rate of fire stuff in here. There's no heavy machine gun. There's no Spitfire.
You've got regular submachine gun.
Woo.
So, what, 6-inch, 12-inch range,
yeah,
or something like that, isn't it?
The highest output is the Mark 12 that is on the one of the characters whose names I'm going to forget.
The lady at the front, is it? Your man?
Front.
Yeah.
So she's
burst 4?
That's going to annoy me.
Burst 4.
Burst 4 in the fire team, which is okay.
Oh wait, what's it? Hang on, wait. I'm thinking of not Spitfire, I'm thinking of the other one, but it's a burst 3 in the fire team. No, burst 4 in the fire team.
Burst 4 in the fire team because you get the +1, which is absolutely grand. Tai Sheng is her name.
I thought the Mark 12 was more like the shock, like a slug shotgun thing. No, am I thinking of something else?
You're thinking of something else.
Yeah.
So the Mark 12 has the same range as a Spitfire, but it's burst 3 and damage 15.
Oh, it's a better Spitfire, but lower burst.
It's a better Spitfire. Lower burst, better damage. So Tai Sheng, who you see there, she can go into that fire team with Crit, the guy that's there as well, and the Zhu Yongs, and then you get a 5-man matched fire team that gets all the bonuses, which is fantastic. But you don't have a high rate of fire. It's a little bit mismatched because she's got the Mark 12, which is 24 inches.
Yeah, you've got like a missile launcher, great, and a short range board. You've got kind of one of everything.
And you've got a furback on Crit, which is it's a bit all over the shop.
You probably want him going on his own.
So I'm not particularly convinced by that.
You've got the Dropfleet, you've got the hacker, the sniper, and what's the guy in the camel looking thing?
That's the High Dow at the top and the back. That's a High Dow with a combi rifle who can be a engineer or he can be a chain of command. The problem
he
is...
can't infiltrate or anything, no? He doesn't have camel, no?
No, he doesn't. But the Dao Ying, the sniper, is a cannon marker. But she's also a really good lieutenant because she gives you 2 lieutenant orders, and Crit and Tai Sheng both have NCO, so they can use those command tokens, those lieutenant orders, as regular orders.
Can I ask why she give you 2 lieutenant orders instead of 1?
Because she does.
That's
It's
just
because
one
Invincible Army is bloody expensive for points, and
Right,
it's
okay.
really hard to get
That's one of
redundancy
it.
for
Okay.
stuff
Okay.
in there.
That's what you want to do. She's in charge from the back. Just tell them
She
where to
is,
go.
but then your sniper rifle is next to useless.
Well, you don't want
Because
to pop. Yeah, you don't want to.
you can't pop it out. You're going to end up getting your brains blown out.
You can, but then that's what you've NCOs for.
Exactly, but then that cuts down on your
lieutenant orders. Yeah. So
no, it doesn't cut down on your lieutenant orders. What it cuts down on is your specialists, because you can't have an engineer. You can have a chain of command with the high down, not an engineer.
Yeah.
Which an engineer is arguably more useful.
Sorry, I misunderstood. The chain of command will adopt lieutenant if the lieutenant dies. The NCO can spend lieutenant orders, but doesn't become a lieutenant, do they?
Correct.
That's what I was thinking. Sorry, I thought the NCO became a lieutenant.
Yeah,
as well. Sorry, that's my mistake.
So that 5-man fire team of the Tai Shang, Crit, Zuyong, and Zuyong missile launcher is 3 SWC and 173 points. And it's 173 points of...
I mean, missile launchers are fun in bursts.
I mean, you can, in all fairness, you can make Tai Shang the chain of command, and then you could have the high dowers. Then there's things you can do with this. I'm missing.
It's playable, but it definitely isn't fleshed. It needs something. It needs
the thing that it needs very specifically is the Shang-Chi HMG, Shang Jesus. Okay.
I'm going to get confused because of models.
Shang,
as in Shang-Chi with the quills and stuff.
No. So Shang-Chi is a heavy infantry for Yu Qing. Shang Jesus is a very specific miniature. He carries a armor-piercing heavy machine gun, and he has tactical awareness. So he generates his own second order.
Yeah.
That inside of that fire team is just terrific. It's just violence. I mean, the problem is that Shang-Chi... So I'm referring to my app as we talk away here. He's 49 points and 1.5 SWC on his own.
Is you're not playing with it every week, or even every month.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Shang-Chi, they're heavy infantry, they're orange, because obviously, and I know roughly, whereas it's like, when you said, oh, a specific model, I'm like, I Google it, oh, yeah.
But he also...
I have two of them, as I say. So
he also comes with a firewall inbuilt of -6, so he gives -6 to being hacked for the full fire team.
Oh, tasty. And you've got a tin bot.
That is the tin bot. So the thing is, with him in a fire team, a 5-man fire team, his BS is 13. In good range with the fire team, you're up to BS 19.
They're not 16. In good range, sorry.
Plus 3 for the fire team, plus 3
for range. And
which is 32 inches.
HMG is 4 shots?
Inches.
Yeah,
4 shots plus 1 for the fire team.
Up to 5.
5 shots at 19. Damage 15.
Okay, they're going to cover, but even still, geez,
With the armor piercing.
Armor piercing doesn't affect cover though, right?
It doesn't affect cover, but it just affects the armor behind it. So you have something like a tag.
Still. Yeah, armor 8, armor 4.
None but bits. But we don't have that. We have the missile launcher, which is, I mean, yes, it's explosive and it's armor piercing, but it's 2 shots.
I think the thing with missile launcher is if you know how to use it and your opponent doesn't know how it works, it can ruin their day because they'll just get deleted. You'll just put templates that in and blow stuff up. If they know how to play around it, or you don't know how to exploit it properly,
the problem is,
it can be a bit hit and miss.
In that fire team, so with the Zhu Yong, you can get the combi rifle could be a paramedic, potentially. So potentially you've got an engineer, which is Crit, a chain of command, which is Tai Shang, and then you've got the Zhu Yong paramedic. So what you have there is some specialists that need to get up the board. The missile launcher does not want to get up the board because it gets into its negative range bands really quickly. So it wants to stay back, but it's got to move or release the fire team.
What's the guy with the green cloak again called?
Zensha. You're looking at Zensha Forward Observer. Really, really handy. It's an infiltrating...
He's also got what looks like a Panzerfaust.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're looking at Forward Observer, infiltrating, camo, Panzerfaust.
He is camo, okay.
Submachine gun. He's a good bit of kit. There's no two ways about that.
That's options, that's options.
But expensive, and there are issues with Zensha, mainly because they are heavy infantry.
The hackable, and they're going to be on their own unsupported.
On the midline.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. The guy with the black everywhere and the scary
Yeah.
mask face, that's a Hulang. He also is an infiltrator, he's potentially specialist, and he also is a heavy infantry. So, I mean, he's -6 mimetism, which is great, but again, he's heavy infantry.
Maybe doesn't apply against hacking, does it?
Yep. So there's, you come up against a Nomad team that can hack, or anyone that's got decent hackers, and you're in trouble quickly.
Or depending on how you build it, Onyx or something as well, like they can get some nasty hacking out.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. It's not
like
ideal.
you're going to have that vulnerability because you're all going to be heavy. Most of you are going to be heavy infantry. Like I get it, but
so the biggest problem that we haven't touched on yet is that Invincible Army is arguably one of two armies that are the hardest to play in Infinity.
I was going to say it's a tough army to play.
They are Infinity on hard mode at the moment. They are very unforgiving. They don't have. You've got really expensive stuff and really cheap rubbish stuff, and not stuff that's functionally usable but reasonably priced in the middle.
Because a lot of the time in Infinity, the expensive stuff can die quite as quickly as the little crap stuff.
You need that.
Always,
you need something else to balance that out, and Invincible Army doesn't really have it. We're hoping that we're going to get some changes and bumps with this action pack, but
even when I go back into Infinity in terms of putting together my ISS. Like they're weird. It's not that they're hard, they're difficult. They've got lots of options. That's the problem. They're like it's like you can take this 13, but you can substitute one of these 70 characters as and it's very modular. So it's more that it's a lot of information to take in.
Yeah.
But that gives you options, which actually means you can work something out.
Yeah.
Whereas I did look at ISS because I had Invincible Army because I have a couple of as I say, a couple of models for it and stuff. And I like the idea of it, but it's like there's no way I can build anything sane out of this that I could understand, I could even manage myself.
If you're picking up this box, then the Yowzi we were talking about a minute ago are a must-have because they're cheap orders, but they're useful. They can hunt camo. They can extend your repeating network for hacking and stuff like that. Which having something you can counter hack with, useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
even regular bots like 8 point, is there an 8.4? It's not 4.0 bot. There's an 8 point just plaid bot, and then the 13.4 zero bot with a combi rifle. I mean, that's cheap orders as well.
Yep.
Might be a way.
It might be. So if you're going to buy this box, you also need to buy the Yowzi. Arguably, you need to buy the Shang-Chi box, so you get the HMG as well, just to get some fire rate down.
Definitely need one of them.
And then we have the Invincible Army expansion pack, which I'd actually suggest you get as well.
I haven't seen this one.
So inside of there, we have another Dao Ying. We have a Dao Ying hacker.
Okay.
That is a better lieutenant than a Dao Ying sniper.
Yeah,
because you can hide it, and you can use the repeater
repeat the crap out of
inside of your Yowzi.
Yeah.
To make use, or just not use it for the entire game. That's a complete option. You also have a Zencha hacker, which is the same as the Zencha in the main box. The hacker variant.
It's got two hackers in the one expansion box. Seems a bit crazy.
Yeah, don't ask me.
I mean, do any of your troops have repeaters in them? No.
Yes, we have one engineer, one character engineer.
Right. The character engineer carries a repeater. Okay.
He does. He's really, really useful. You can stick him in with
Shang-Chi,
which are not in the box. The cheap light infantry are not in the core box.
I was going to say then you can counter hack to like protect your robot men.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can. Or not.
And then a hideout with
sniper. The hideout with MSR, with multi-sniper rifle, with MSV2. It's an okay unit. He's an okay. He's heavy infantry, but he only has 1 wound and no wound incapacitation.
He has AWI, yeah.
Yeah. So he's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the Zencha are 1 wound and no wound incapacitation as well from memory, and they're fine. They're not stellar, but they're too expensive to be. If they only had the 1 wound and they were 10 points cheaper, they'd be great. But where they are in the upper 20s and 30s point, just too expensive to be.
It's not even that. Yeah, the thing with cost is how do you squeeze the value out of them? You know what I mean? Like if you get it to 100 points, but you can get 100 points of value out of it, great, it's a good unit. And if you can get 120 points out of it, then you're a good player with a good unit, or it's a broken unit, one or the other. But if you feel that you can't get the value out of the unit, then this is a different topic for another day. But
the Invincible Army pain train with all the Shang-Chi Invincibles and Ziyong Invincibles is great. if you can get it off, if there's a lot of things about some maybes.
if they don't get a lucky hit with a rocket launcher or a lucky hit with something on you, or get hacked or dot. Yeah.
I have the Yan Hao. There's a Yan Hao fire team, which is the really really big guys with multiple missile launchers. Really chunky lads.
Got one of them somewhere.
And
the stabilizers when they go back. Like
that's it. You can put a fire team of those two together with the hideout sniper.
Jesus.
And it's awesome. And I had that.
Just rocket death. Meanwhile, the sniper's calm and just missiles.
This is exactly it. This is perfect. And of course, because they're in a fire team, they get +1 burst, so they're firing 2 missiles. Anyway, so I took that, had it all set up, fired at someone in my active phase with 2 missiles, and all the rest of it. All great.
Good
got
range.
critted back and died.
Of course.
Because they've only got 2 wounds.
Yeah, happens to solve it. Yeah, but it's how many points is that you've lost?
Yeah, don't even go there.
This is it.
Too many. Anyway, so the
I suppose that's one thing about Infinity is that if they roll enough dice, they'll roll it. Eventually, they'll roll a crit, and then your big, expensive 50-point man dies.
That's it. So that expansion pack is a must-buy purely for the Dao Ying hacker. She's a fantastic lieutenant. Highly rate that. Highly recommend that.
At the end of the day, though, you can always I suppose with Infinity, people aren't too bad with proxies. You know, if you've got that as the Zen Shah hacker, that could be something else. You know?
Yeah, you can proxy. If you're like me, though, you have to have the right thing.
And it's also not as expensive as the Assassin box. It's like €5 cheaper for some reason. Despite having 3 dudes that are pretty much sniper and 2. I don't know. Sniper and 2 blokes. Like, okay, fine.
Anyway, for our last thing for Infinity, we then sorry, that was the last thing for Infinity. What am I talking about?
Was it the last thing for me?
Yeah.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Yeah, there's an expansion pack. Says on the bit of paper down here.
Oh.
The next thing that we're talking about is Star Wars Legion, the upcoming release of Bad Batch, which are characters from a TV show called The Bad Batch. They're clones. They can appear in the Rebels or the Republic, depending on which one you want. They're just a bag of tricks and keywords, effectively. You buy the unit and then you buy characters to go within it. As expansions, so you can take as much or as little as you want. They kind of, if you max them out, they go between 140 and 160 points, depending on whether you're going for Rebels or Republic, and depending on which characters you take, of course. They're pretty durable. They throw red defense dice. They've got 2 wounds for the most part, and when they're all maxed out, they just get to an obscene number of words that you're hitting and buffs that you're chucking on, and it's just. They're going to be absolute monsters, I think, in the field.
And they can go, as you said, they can go Rebels or Imperial?
Republic.
Republic, sorry.
Sorry. They are clones. So, yeah, it's looking to be a really cool unit. We'll hopefully get our hands on them at some point and do a review. But yeah, I think they're going to be really interesting, and it's really cool to see more stuff appearing from the wider universe in the game and seeing it grow, and that's good.
They've got a ton of, remember the X-Wing and spaceships and stuff, but they have a ton of room in terms of infantry and infantry adjacent things you know.
There's more all the time, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
So, this is good news.
Yeah.
And that is all the releases that we've got coming up in the immediate future. If you have got something coming up in the next couple of months and you think we should be talking about it, then let us know. Email address below. We'll talk and we'll see if there's anything good that we can do and get a feature and tell the world about what you've got coming up. Also, if you have a system that you love playing and they've got new stuff coming up, then let us know too, because we're happy to hear that too. So, yeah.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah. Now we're going to look at the stuff that we've got coming up in the coming months. That's interesting and exciting. Yeah. First up in what we've got coming up, we've got Bolt Action version 3.
Yes.
It's set to drop in September.
Unlike certain other systems, Bolt Action tends to last a very long time between editions.
It does. And everything's going to be compatible as well. They've already stated quite clearly. Yeah.
As in the current rules you've got, or
the current miniatures you've got will transfer across.
I think that was kind of obvious. I mean,
is it in this day and age? Should we take anything for granted as such?
Yes. All of your British paratroopers are now sheep people, as was well known.
More like we just don't do that unit anymore.
Well, that could be a thing. Yeah.
That could well be a thing. Or they won't be playable until we bring the book out in 3 years' time.
Yeah, but for historical, I mean, historical people are kind of like, I don't. As long as it's roughly the right scale and it's the right type of model, it'll do. It'll do.
Oh, you'll be playing with different historical people to me.
Well, what I mean is, like, there's a lot of 28mm World War II that you can use, and a lot of it, unless you're playing an official Warlord tournament, I don't think many people care as long as it's painted the right color.
I think it's more the stats and stuff that they're carrying across, which is the important bit. So it's good they're going to be playable from the get-go.
Yeah.
We've got new starter books coming up as well.
Supporting existing stuff, basically. Yeah.
That's it. New starter box coming up around the Bulge, Bulge, which is cool. That looks interesting. Although interestingly, only one side has got a vehicle, the other side doesn't.
Is it a light vehicle?
The Americans get a light vehicle from memory, and the Germans don't.
Hopefully, okay.
So, as a German Flames of War player, I feel slightly put upon.
Back.
Not how ours should be.
Yeah.
We should at least get a King Tiger 2. Seems reasonable.
Because is it an Opel truck that pretty much everybody used in at various points?
Yeah.
Like if you put something like that, and then any team could use it. You could have it in different scenarios and stuff. I mean, that's just a thought, just thinking aloud.
Not what they've done though, but it is looking very interesting, and we're hearing good things.
It's a good system. It's a lesser Calvatore, isn't it? He's like a genius.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's him. Yeah. A lesser Calvatore. Yeah. Like his brain is. I saw an interview with him, and just the way he thinks about stuff. He's Italian and very excitable, but he's very. You can think about stuff like, how is this fun? How do I make this fun? How is this a good? You can kind of. He has obviously a very methodical way of doing it, but also kind of. He's obviously a good game designer. You can just tell from the way he talks about games and board games and all different sort of stuff.
In a lot of areas, Bolt Action is seen as the leader of the 28mm historical.
I would say so, yeah.
Sector. It's the de facto, the governor, the Dalai Lama, the boss. And yeah, I mean, we back in the day, we played the variant of it, Gates of Antares.
Okay, what?
Gates of Antares?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
I still have it's a great game. Again, not supported.
No. Well, that's now gone into sort of a hibernation.
And someone else owns the IP or something.
Sideways supported variant anyway. But no, so.
Although it's D10, yeah.
It's Bolt Action has always been present. I've built some miniatures through the years at various points for various reasons. I've always been impressed with it. I'm intrigued to see what they do.
Community is fun as well. I mean, you can be a river counter and have a very, the right shade of Dunkel Grau, or you can kind of go and give my SS stormtroopers gas mask and red eyes because why not? And people go, fair enough, I'm going to shoot them anyway.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's a good tournament scene for it as well. A lot of Dutch guys travel around the world doing it and stuff. So it's good. It's good to see a new iteration. Speaking of new beginnings, we have heard that Dropfleet Commander from now TT Combat, as was Hawk Wargames.
Yeah, I was going to say it used to be Hawk.
Used to be Hawk, but then they sold to TT Combat.
They sent from here. They do laser cut stuff, right?
Yeah, they do all kinds of stuff. They have all sorts of games and bits and pieces.
Is that the same TT Combat? Yeah.
Same.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean the
Drop Fleet Commander.
Mm-hmm.
Right, not Drop Zone Commander.
No, Drop
what
Fleet.
edition is that on?
Which one?
Drop Zone, as in the one.
I think they were on. They've gone to version 2.
Okay.
I think there's conversations of a version 3, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I keep in contact with it loosely. I used to be a Talon at
I remember. I remember playing a bit of it, but
ran some tournaments and stuff.
Drop Fleet, Drop Zone. I played you at Drop Fleet, I think.
Yeah, we played. Played Drop Zone.
A few years back there. But I remember playing.
I played a lot of Drop Zone with the miniatures on the board, the tanks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I know Drop Fleet.
I know it.
It's a weird one.
I said I played you at Drop Fleet. I remember it. Because the range is based on how much movement and activation you've done to your heat signature, essentially.
Yeah, how much you can be seeing. Yeah. How many spikes?
Yeah.
And it was interesting, but it was combat in orbit.
Yes.
With different heights that you were within orbit, and that controlled a lot of things.
And you had to drop guys onto the planet and
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was cool, but it wasn't what I was after. I was after space combat, and it was orbital combat, and it was a bit.
See, I'm wondering, should you find my rules for Battlefleet Gothic and just send them to you?
No,
we just call them different names. It's fine.
I have Warcrow to do. Leave me alone. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see that go into version 2 and see what happens. TT have produced a lot of new miniatures and stuff.
Nice for it.
They were multi-part kits, which was so cool because it was like you've got
I
a screw
remember
on what you want to be.
was a bit. The men were a bit generic. The tanks were pretty cool. Some of them. Dropfleet they were nice models.
Yeah, they were. A lot of fun to paint as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, whether they can hit the sweet spot with version 2. And I hope they take it into space, give us space combat. That's what I'd like to see.
Full retros.
On the other end of the scale, staying with the same universe, they're also bringing out Striketeam Commander, which is a skirmish 32 mil version of Drop Zone Commander, so combat on the ground.
22 mil is what we used to call 28 mil until the people got bigger.
So it's going to be.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. Yeah,
a skirmish game. It looks cool.
Interesting.
They're going Kickstarter, so you'll be able to go from orbit to kind of like the mass combat situation, which is Drop Zone,
survivors,
and then do the skirmish level type thing as well.
I'm wondering. I don't know if you can put this picture up, but the second one down with the lizard millipede thing.
Mm-hmm.
See the little orange guy?
I don't see the little orange guy, but you send it to me later, and yes, I see the little orange guy. What about?
Yeah, I'm wondering, is he the what was that race that had the stupid
Shaltari?
Yeah, is he one of them? They had they had just silly rules. Oh, I remember them.
Teddy Bears of Doom.
Bane of my existence.
But they have the walkers in 32 mil for PHR.
Yeah, I saw it. The dreadnought looking thing. Yeah,
I'm there. More Ed 209.
Yeah. Well, I meant dreadnought as in the old Space Hulk dreadnought, which was Ed 209.
So I mean, that's looking cool. I think that's going to Kickstarter soon.
But
it's going to come a point where I'm going to buckle.
They'll come to retail at some point, right?
Yeah.
What'll be interesting is actually the PHR infantry would look pretty cool with 32 mil.
They would.
And
the long reach snipers for the long reach they were called for PHR.
Yeah, I like is it the Blackbirds or whatever they're called, and you're dropping off the commandos.
The Ravens.
The Ravens, that was it. And you raid like you're like stupid, like basically you're a SWAT team. Like, and like anyone in a building, you demolition charge. You land whatever way they basically infiltrate the whole building. You drop from the top, and anyone in that building they will murderize. That is now your building.
Yeah. Just liquidize everybody in the building.
Yeah,
anyway, so we shall see what happens with that. More information on that coming.
Again, it's good that it's still alive. It's good that it's still going. It's good that it'll hopefully get a shot in the arm with a refresh range and stuff. You know what I mean? And that ideally the companies learn from the previous experience. Presumably they do, right? They learn and then actually innovate.
They've brought out a lot of cool stuff. If you look at the behemoths and stuff for Drop Zone, very cool units, very very funky. So they seem to be learning. Yeah.
I don't know.
But we shall see what happens with these new things, and we will do our part by shouting out.
Absolutely, yeah.
So saying, should we dive into the end of the show?
Near there.
So that's the rough outline of what anything but GW is going to look like on a monthly basis. Let us know what you think of the format. Let us know what you think is interesting, what's good, what's bad, what's different. As we get better at it, it'll probably get shorter. He doesn't shut up. It's a problem. Anyway, I asked for feedback. Sorry?
Any specific requests for any, like, it doesn't have to be brand new. Like, if it's if it's not massively known, but it's been out like a year or 18 months, let us know, because we might have heard.
I asked in a previous video for people to suggest, and we had Ninth Age, Carnival, Bushido.
I've heard of all
Song
these.
of Ice and Fire, Rumble Slam, Half Tilt, Frostgrave, Oathmark, Silver Bayonet, Shatterpoint.
Half Tilt is the only one I don't.
Aristea, Blood and Plunder.
Never heard of Aristea.
Who makes that? Command,
who makes that?
and Black Smoke Studio.
Yeah.
This is what people wanted so far.
Okay. I've heard of most of them. Yeah. If not read the rulebooks for most of them, if not played some of them.
So if there are anything that you heard there that you want to see, comment. If there's anything that you didn't hear there and you haven't seen in this whole thing, let us know what we should be talking about, because we kind of want to be led a little bit by the community. If you want to hear, if there's something people aren't talking about and they should be, we want to tell the world.
Well, maybe we want people not talking about it because we haven't heard about it, but equally, maybe we think, oh, maybe no one's interested in it. But yeah.
Tell us. We want to
Yeah.
know. And as we say, if you are a games manufacturer or an accessory manufacturer or anything like that, get in contact. If you have something that people should be playing or using or whatever, reach out, send us an email, and we will happily have a chat with you. And yeah, if it's something awesome, which of course it is, we will tell the world. But yeah, so get in contact if you've got anything that we should be talking about. Aside from that, now I do the bit.
Yeah. Like and
Actually,
subscribe.
no, I'm not going to do the bit. Before I do the bit,
leave a negative comment for him, but a positive comment for me.
Thanks to JJ for joining in with the anarchy
Yeah.
of this particular show.
Well, thank you for thinking of me and asking me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's all right. If they like you, you're coming back. If they don't like me, I'm still coming back.
Yeah, if they don't like me, just replace me. I'm replaceable. I know I'm expendable.
Pretty much. I think the plan will be as we go along.
I am the 12-point Fusilier for the extra order here. That's my job is just to sit
You're
here.
you're basically a Warcrow, mate. 3 points of just irregular order.
Yeah.
And all you can do is flash people. Flash pulse people.
Flash pulse.
Infinity jokes will abound. So as we go along, if this is something that people want to see more of, we'll probably get more people involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
More people to have a chat about stuff, which is always good. We're also thinking about getting people in to do interviews as part of the show as well.
Yeah.
Just to chat about stuff. So, but for now, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, you're an absolute legend. Yeah, thank you, of course.
We'll get better.
I couldn't. He will. Thank you so much to our channel members. All of you guys rock. There's now like 7 of you. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but it's great that you're here. Cheers for that.
That's good.
That is good. Thanks to patrons as well. You guys are fantastic. There's some free ones. There's some paying ones. Lovely. And also, of course, to the eternal legend that is Joe Rogers, who has been supporting the channel for very many months now, beyond what is reasonable and healthy. If you have enjoyed this, like, subscribe, share, tell your mum, send it to your dog. Anyone that does painting, anyone that has a hobby to do this weekend, get it in front of them. Let them know that we're here, and hopefully we can start raising awareness of all the good things that the wargaming community has to offer. So it's thank you from me, and it's thank you from him.
Good night from me.
And good night from me. We'll see you all again soon, and thanks for watching.